not recording. I forgot to record. Okay, there we go. Our number is 919-518-9773. Computers2K Voice on Skype. Today's show is being brought to you by that VidBlaster guy, Tom Sinclair. And by Adamus.com, makers of quality video recorders and converters for professionals. All right, well, no big deal. So today's show is not going to have the intro on it. Tom Sinclair may not know what date it is, but it's okay.
Well, at his age, just tell him any date and he'll buy it.
He'll buy it. So what's going on?
Well, I'm wrapping up a week's business last week in Melbourne at our home office, and spending spring break here at my sister's house. I brought my granddaughter down with me. I rented a Camaro SS. It was a nice drive down, and got a long drive back tomorrow. But we've had a good time.
SS.
Yeah, that means V8, among other things.
Oh.
It's got a heads-up display in the windshield. It's pretty cool.
I wonder what it would take to put that sucker in the shop in about 5 years and get some of that stuff fixed. I've had a week of car repairs that would choke you.
Yeah, but everything is okay now, right?
Well, we'll see.
It'll be fine.
Getting ready to hit the road. We'll see. It's one of these deals where you pick your car up and he says, now, we didn't replace this seal. We're just going to watch that one. Oh, okay. We didn't want you to have a heart attack when you came to pick up the car.
Yeah, well, if you don't need to replace it, then you don't replace it.
Spoken by someone who does his own work.
Yeah. I never replace anything that doesn't need to be replaced.
Yeah, but you never go anywhere either.
That's true. I don't have...
I'm going to be on the road for 7 hours. Bruce is going to be on the road, what, 12 hours?
13.
13 hours. What's an hour among friends?
Right.
Even when I used to travel a lot, I wasn't concerned because you can always do something on the road. Now,
What?
I would lie if I said that I didn't have spare parts in my trunk. Okay, I'm still preoccupied here, but I guess everything's fine. Nobody's complaining, and there goes Bamboozer. What is that thing? I just saw a weird display.
It was probably that one about dropping frame rates.
No, I saw the default Bamboozer thing, like the old TVs when you had those lines and what do you call them? In the beginning or at the very end when they sign off, what do you call that screen? The one with the vertical lines and horizontal lines and circles.
Oh, yeah, I remember that from the show Outer Limits. Do not attempt to adjust
Sort of
your
like,
set.
yeah. And I
Yeah.
just saw this one coming from Bamboozer. I don't understand if... guys, you carried on. I need... The thing is
don't
that
bother you. You're busy, huh?
I changed the way that I'm doing things here because of Vaughn being down for I don't know how long. So the default that you're watching now is actually Daily Motion. But I don't want to. I don't want to bore.
Well, what's going on with Bamboozer? Are they in the toilet too?
No, I mean it seems like okay, but I just caught a glimpse, and it was because on the monitor when I'm monitoring Bamboozer, and it was not our picture; it was that pattern. But I'm trying to go. No, it's fine. Maybe they had a hiccup. It's all right.
it's really strange to see birthdays on Facebook of people whom you have watched through the years and their careers, and then the older you get, the closer you get to their age. It's really bizarre. A guy named Ken Scott used to be a lot older than I was. Now he and I are getting to be about the same age. Speaking of Facebook, have you heard that the kids are abandoning it in droves?
Why it becomes old
Old people.
fuddy-duddies?
Old people. So where are they going? Reddit?
Is that why?
Yeah. They don't want their parents reading their Facebook posts.
Well,
Which means that there's now a market for a new Facebook for kids.
Yeah, but then they'll get older, as you so ably commented a moment ago about your friends, and they'll have to come back to Facebook if they want to do business successfully and social media marketing.
Well, that's a good comment, though, Bruce, because I wonder how successful Facebook has become for advertising, because the comment that I saw yesterday was a younger person saying, who wants to go to Facebook? All it is old people in advertising.
And you know which of the social media? Well, I'll just give you the quote. Pinterest gets more social media interaction than Google Plus, Facebook, and Twitter combined. It's incredible. I mean, I don't use it that much myself personally, but when you look at the stats, Pinterest is where it's at if you want to get some interaction going.
But are there discussions there as well, like interaction in terms of discussions? I mean, Pinterest is great in terms of home improvement or crafts or things woodworking, little things that you want to do that are creative. It is excellent. I highly endorse it, and there are a whole lot of old people on Pinterest. It's not just kids. In fact, I don't even know if there are very many kids there. I have no idea. I'm not saying yes or no.
Yeah, I don't. When you say social interaction, I think it more has to do with the driving traffic, to your website and stuff like that, where you've got the things that you've shared to Pinterest, and then of course some commenting could take place there.
But I have a couple of Pinterest pages I haven't been on Pinterest in probably 3 months, maybe 6 months. I don't know. I get notifications from time to time. So-and-so has pinned a picture on Pinterest. Click here to see on your page or something like that. I'm actually a moderator on one of the sites that's there for podcasting, but I never go to it. In fact, I'm not even sure what it is. Merle says that the kids have left for Twitter and Vine, and Instagram and Snapchat seems to be popular too. Of course, Twitter I'm on regularly, and I don't even know what Vine is. Instagram, as I understand it, you have to upload from your cell phone only. Maybe you can get a web account if you create the account from a cell phone, but you have to do it from a cell phone, I believe. And I don't have an Instagram account and don't really want one. I don't need one.
Well, my 13-year-old granddaughter is here with me, and I'm sure she would say Instagram is where most of the young people are going. She doesn't hardly do anything on Facebook, right? So it's all on Instagram. All the pictures you've been in the communication you've been having with your friends while you've been on spring break is Instagram. Yep, she's saying.
Why not Facebook?
Why not Facebook? Why not Facebook?
Well, I don't use it because as soon as I got on it, I
Facebooklet.
friend requests, even from people I didn't know that I've only set hi to.
She doesn't use it because she got bombarded with friend requests of a whole lot of people she didn't even know, and she wasn't comfortable with that.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
She just didn't want to hurt your feelings and tell you it's all old people.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't like the changes they make almost every month.
Yeah, Mike says you don't use Facebook because you didn't want to hurt my feelings because there's a bunch of old people on it. Oh.
And Donovan says the teens are only using their phones for social interaction. Merle says they're probably all secretly on MySpace. What the heck is MySpace? That's like I was in a news group earlier this morning, or a forum this morning, and somebody actually mentioned using the plastic wrapper for your newspaper. And I said, what's a newspaper?
Mm-hmm.
It's amazing how quickly we turn on those things that we previously embraced so readily. It's taken a long time for newspapers to die, but good riddance.
I mean, they may have gone to Twitter, but did you read the report that said that 44% of Twitter subscribers never tweeted? That means there's a lot of people there that just went and got an account and they don't even.
Well, they went and grabbed somebody said, go sign up for Twitter and get your username if you want it before somebody else does, which I totally agree with that.
Well, the other reason is it's a great news feed. If you want the current latest news, then you get Twitter. Who cares whether you post or not? You just subscribe to breaking news and all these other news feeds, and you get the latest news before anybody else gets it.
And if there's an airplane crash, the first you're going to hear about it is from someone who on the ground who just saw it happen. Is going to go straight to Twitter, and eventually, within an hour, the quote-unquote news media will have the story with their filter and speculation on it, but you'll already know about it.
Yeah, Merle says that he used the Twitter to follow the shooting at the Navy Yard in D.C. So,
Donovan's talking about Reddit, and I have a Reddit account. I've been there. I think that Reddit has probably, and I'm sort of saying this tongue in cheek, but I think Reddit has designed itself to be unusual to navigate so that the kids will do it and the adults will bypass it. Because Reddit, I mean, their layout to me is just really funky. I don't get it.
It's horrendous.
But the kids, I mean, Nick, they love it.
I have a confession to make.
Uh-oh.
Wait a second.
I've never been to a Reddit site ever.
Well, I think you will be stunned at how much information is there.
I'm familiar with the information that is there, and I watch a lot of podcast shows who have Reddit pages where people suggest content and stuff like that. But I've never actually visited a Reddit site. But I will do so.
You should click on that link that Donovan just posted.
I will.
That is a news site, and then you will be initiated.
I'm a Reddit virgin.
All right, John,
this is like Google 1979.
63.
63. Oh, mercy.
But I believe that's deliberate.
Yeah.
Because us old folks find it confusing. The kids say, this is good. The old folks won't mess with it. And there's a bunch of trash on Reddit, too. I mean, you got to be careful what you click on.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the truth is, business did ruin Facebook. Or people that, I mean, not all.
We're losing your microphone, Amnon. We can't hear you.
Sorry. I said business ruined Facebook with all the ads and all that kind of stuff because it wasn't meant for that. But business saw an opportunity and said, okay, let's use it. So you can see where people could be pissed off at adults. But as far as the owners of Facebook, business made it for them. They're the ones swimming in money because of businesses, not because students in schools and colleges and all that are sharing pictures and information. So that's what I'm saying. They need to come up with...
In Star Trek, we were called Grups. Do you remember that episode?
Never watched it.
No. Is that the one with the kids that never grew up?
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't remember the word, though. We were talking about this, Mike and I, last night. Just in time for April 15, IRS filing deadline comes news from the Washington Post that hundreds of thousands of taxpayers expecting refunds are instead getting letters informing them of tax debts they never knew about, often a debt incurred by their parents. The government and okay, Mike, you remember that thing? You can keep talking about it.
I missed part of what you said.
Oh, I was talking, about that IRS thing.
Well, Amnon's reading this story about people's tax returns being seized by the IRS because apparently there are some unsatisfied obligations their parents had, which is very much not the way the American legal system works. Whenever you pass away, your estate stands for your debts. If your estate does not have enough, if your estate is not large enough to satisfy your obligations, then your indebtedness disappears. And this story reports that the IRS is seizing tax returns from your parents' debts. And Amnon sent me the story, and I read it. I have not seen another. I've heard about it, but I've not seen another report of it. But generally, when I see these things, the first thing I do is I'm a little suspect. When I see a major cataclysmic change in the way life happens in this country, then I want to get some other justification. It may be true. I mean, the way this government is going now, they can do whatever they darn well please, and they're doing that. And whether they can change that law if they choose to do so, I don't know of any constitutional obligation. I guess there probably someone would formulate a constitutional argument that would possibly lie saying that it could not be done. But the what people don't realize, and what is very real, and you're not going to see it until after the 2016 election. But what you're going to find out is that based on how you maintain your health insurance and whether you're on Obamacare and through the exchanges, based on what you do and don't pay, you're going to see your tax return completely disappear. I mean, you're going to see so many people. The prediction is, and who knows, but the prediction is in 2017, 2018, so many people are not going to get their tax returns that there's going to be very much unrest in the country. I personally don't know what a tax return is. To me, a tax return is when I return the money in my checking account to the government where it rightly belongs. But so that being said, a lot of people are going to be upset because there are penalties. If you don't do what the government says with health insurance, there's going to be a penalty, and the way you pay that penalty is they're going to seize your tax return, and they're not going to tell you. You're just going to contact the IRS. Where's my tax return? Oh, that was taken by the government because you have an obligation for your health insurance penalty. So Donovan said, as far as that's concerned, he saw a report that said they reversed it not long after it first hit the news. But what the report that I read, if you read it critically, the report that I read indicated that, in fact, it was not a quote-unquote debt of the parents, that it was, in fact, that the person whose return was seized actually received the social benefits. There was overpayment of social benefits that were for the benefit of the person whose tax return was seized. If that is correct, then that is more legally sustainable than saying that you have to be responsible for your parents' overspending. I just don't believe that's what the law was trying to say, but what do I know?
Well, they did say that they lifted a 10-year statute of limitation.
That's totally statutory, and if the government chooses to remove a 10-year statutory of limitations, they are free to do that.
And it's interesting also how they said it was a single sentence tucked into the Farm Bill.
Right. Well, that's where you'd normally look for a statute of limitations change would be in the Farm Bill.
Yep. Good morning, Nick.
Hello.
And Nick is a tax expert. Maybe he can explain it to us.
Oh, yeah. No, this is very interesting.
See? Thank you.
Thank
No
you
problem.
very much.
I'm glad I showed up this morning.
He's also a farmer. He has a server farm.
All right. Math expert, science expert.
Mm-hmm.
Home improvement expert.
Yeah, decking expert. That's my latest thing. Decking, yeah.
Do you have a deck?
I do.
All right. How big is it?
Big enough.
Like they say, when you have a lot of money, you don't worry about the size of your dick.
Amnon, with your accent, you might ought to be careful with that one.
This is interesting here. I think there's a typo somewhere, but I'm not sure. Microsoft TechNet blog makes clear that Windows 8.1 will not be patched and that users must get Windows 8.1 update if they want security patches. InfoWorld's Woody Leonard reports in what is surely the most customer antagonistic move of the new Windows regime. Steve Thomas at Microsoft posted a TechNet article on Saturday stating categorically that Microsoft will no longer issue security patches for Windows 8.1 starting in May. He also writes, never mind that Windows 8.1 customers are still having multiple problems with errors when trying to install the update. At this point, there are 300 posts on the Microsoft Answers forum thread, Windows 8.1 Update 1 failing to install with errors, blah, blah. The Answers forum is peppered with similar complaints and wide range of errors for which there are no solutions from Microsoft. Never mind that Microsoft itself yanked Windows 8.1 update from the corporate update server shoot almost a week ago and still hasn't offered a replacement. Isn't that, I mean...
Well, Nick is a Windows 8.1 expert, so explain it to us, Nick.
No, I don't know that Nick is. Is he?
What would you like explanation on?
Well, that article. What is Microsoft's thinking on that article?
About
Windows 8.1 not issuing these updates. System being broken for over a week.
Because they don't care.
Okay, well, thanks for that.
Well, I mean...
Bruce?
Well, I mean, you're talking about. I mean, obviously, when I updated, there were two updates. There was this huge update. It was over 887 megabytes or something like that, and then there was this little smaller update file. And so if you don't do both of those, then you're not in a position to get further updates because you haven't really actually completed the update.
So are you saying that every Windows 8.1 user, every grandma that uses 8.1 needs to know which updates to do and how to do them?
No, they don't need to do that. It's a simple thing. That's one of the beauties of Windows 8. It makes updates easier. So when you do the Windows update, it tells you what the critical ones are, and it lists both of those. And I did the first one, and then it went through a restart, and then I did the second one, and it went through a restart, and I'm good to go. I mean, the process isn't any different than what it's been in the past. So anybody who has updated, their Windows, even a Windows 7 machine, the process is not dissimilar at all.
Right, and most machines come in with update automatically. They don't wait from the customer, from the user to say, "Yeah, I want this."
That's the default setting, unless you change.
So why wouldn't it? Why would so many people have problems with these?
Well, I don't know that so many people. I mean, nobody I know has had a problem. So I don't know how to take it. When you read a story that says 100 people.
Well, we heard from Gene last week that he had a problem with the Lenovo.
That was a Lenovo issue, though.
Yeah, that was because Lenovo didn't release the drivers. Again, not a Windows issue, a Lenovo issue.
I mean, when they're saying that there's so much going on the Microsoft blog about it.
Yeah, well, because people...
There's something.
Yeah, no, people are blaming Microsoft, and it's not their fault. If Lenovo or Dell or HP fail to release the drivers, and then everybody gets mad at Microsoft, that's what they're doing. It's not right, but they still do it.
Well,
the driver stuff is not. The Microsoft doesn't release any drivers for that stuff. That's all manufacturer drivers. And
yeah, that's with the Lenovo. It doesn't. That doesn't matter. But if there's a problem with Lenovo and they don't have it, and the person needs to stay with 8.1, what is that cutting off their security patches? I mean, they don't.
Well, the problem is Lenovo doesn't. They don't tell you that they don't have the drivers. You just find out once you update. And I think that's the problem that Gene had, was that
let's stop talking about the Lenovo. I'm not talking just about the Lenovo.
Okay.
If somebody is having a problem, 8.1 is not that old. For God's sake, I mean, 2 weeks ago they were updating XP.
I didn't know 8.1 was out yet. That's my question. What the heck is this? 8.1 is out, right?
They have an 8.1 update now, also on top of 8.1, I guess.
How can you stop updating anything that is the current release of the operating system?
That's my point.
Well, I mean, no, I'm missing something here. I'm not being smart, Alec. I'm asking sincerely. When was 8.1 officially released?
A couple of months ago.
Okay. And how, either there's something wrong with this article, like you saying maybe there's a typo, I don't know. But
Yeah, Amna, can you post a link to the article? I'd like
that would be better.
I'm not following what you're saying
there. No, I can't.
Oh, right then. What's the title of the article?
It's on paper.
Okay, what's the title of the article?
That Microsoft will no longer update Windows 8.1. I guess there may be. I mean, you can probably go to the Microsoft site and see it.
Let's see. Okay, so this is from InfoWorld.
Okay.
This tech blogs wants to make clear.
It's just. I mean, what I'm saying is they were updating XP 2 weeks ago. And that's 12 years old. You are not updating something that just came out.
I think there's more to this. I think there's more to the story. I don't.
There has to be.
I don't believe it's as clear cut as no. We're no longer updating. I believe there's other parts of the story. See, I'm reading it right now.
Well, I mean, that's what the article here was saying.
Well, but those are also
Microsoft,
user submitted articles.
No,
so.
Listen, posted a TechNet article on Saturday stating categorically, I don't think this is somebody made up.
No, I'm not saying somebody made it up. I'm just saying
Microsoft will no longer issue security patches for Windows 8.1 starting in May. Categorically.
It will no longer receive security updates.
Yeah.
Let me find out the reason why.
Yeah, there's got to be something more.
I'm looking at a Tech
I'm
Republic
sure there's
article.
a reason. I don't know if they're trying to push him to that. I don't know if 8.1, the update, the latest one, may be a big change when they put all that.
I believe that's what it is. I'm reading this right now.
That they don't want to.
TechNet blog makes it clear that Windows 8.1 will not be patched. Users must get the Windows 8.1 update if they want security patches. So yeah, they're pushing people to Windows 8.1.
Yeah.
But that's not what you. That's not what.
But what if somebody cannot go to that? What if they have a legitimate reason?
If you're already on 8.1, you can do the 8.1 update. The problem is from 8 to 8.1, I believe. That's where you're having a driver issue. But if you're already on Windows 8.1, I believe you can just easily update to the Windows 8.1
That's
update.
not what this article said. That's why I thought that there was a typo when they said they will no longer update 8.1 and people must
they
get
tell you
8.1
that. They tell you that. When
update.
you do this update, you'll see, when you do the Windows 8.1 update, you'll see it highlighted in yellow. Well, it's not highlighted in yellow.
Yeah.
It's highlighted in yellow on this article that I'm looking at that says you must install Windows 8.1 update to ensure that your computer can continue to receive future Windows updates, including security updates.
So that means that if you don't have the 8.1 update, you're not going to get it.
That's correct. That's correct.
Yeah.
They're trying to push people to Windows 8.1 because there's clearly a reason to.
Make it clear, Nick, they're trying to push people into 8.1 update, not to 8.1. 8.1, there has a significant update, apparently. I don't use 8, so
It must, and that's why they're trying to push people.
Well, and again, I'm going back to the thing that if people were using 8.1 for the last, I don't know how long, and they had a problem updating to 8.1 update.
But you most likely won't have a problem.
Well,
there's not. I don't believe that. I haven't seen anything that states that there's major problems.
How about anybody in the chat had a problem updating to 8.1 update to the latest update
from 8.1? That's
from 8.1. Correct.
Yeah, that's the.
How do you update from 8.1 to 8.1?
Well, I think it's
Microsoft sucks with these names. So
it's
confusing.
8.1 update 1.
Yeah, they call it. Yeah.
Hey, Amnon, did you get Windows 8.1 update 1.1.1?
Version 7?
One.
Build 6? I mean,
Yeah,
geez.
right.
Come on.
Right.
Yeah, perfect. I believe the big problem that we were talking about last week was from Windows 8.0 to Windows 8.1. So I think if you've already gotten to 8.1, the non-update version, you can easily upgrade to Windows 8.1 Update 1 without a problem.
Yeah, Paul
Maybe.
Thurrott says it's a mess.
He did?
That's what he said on this update of 8.1, update
Wow.
1.
What does Andrew have to say about that? Andrew is not talking, is he?
No, he just talked. Oh, he says Happy Easter.
It's just I don't know. I mean they're giving people out there. If I'm not, let's get off of this. Never mind.
No, what were you going to say? I'm interested in this.
That it's arrogance. I mean, if I have something that I'm releasing, and some people having a problem,
Okay.
well, you know, and they could be in trouble if they don't get security updates.
Correct.
Give them security updates, and say, you know, you really need to go up to that, because a lot of people don't do updates right away.
And when did you say the
And-
updates are stopping?
And if they in May,
Hey.
In May. Okay. So
Yeah.
I mean, you've got time.
yeah, you got a few weeks.
And
How
I'm,
many
and I'm
people
sure
know
that
about all that?
You what?
no, but I believe from what Bruce said, it does the update automatically. Correct,
Right.
Bruce?
It's supposed to, yeah.
Yes.
So then most people won't even know. They'll just turn on their computer one day and
Yeah,
they'll say,
that-
"Hey,
that's-
welcome. You're on 8.1."
That's right. I mean, I would think that the people that are posting on any kind of forums are people that know more, that are more technically inclined, and they're the ones that may choose not to do it now or do something out of the ordinary. And the ordinary people that just let the machine go and do it on its own probably don't have a problem. Unless it doesn't come up and tell you, hey, you cannot update. You had a problem. You know, a lot of people ignore those little things. They just come up and say, oh, restart the machine. Something went wrong. And they don't know what it's about. And they don't even know that they're running on. It's again, devil's advocate.
Well, remember, Windows 9 will rescue us all.
Oh, yeah.
I just think Microsoft is in this panic stage now, where there's just so much going on that they're losing their minds.
Yeah, listen to this paragraph because I think it's worth reading. Paul Thurrott absolutely right in that Windows 8.1 Update 1 again proves that design by committee never works, and that by not strictly adhering to a singular product vision, the solution that is extruded out to customers on the other side is messy, convoluted, and compromised. But that's been Windows 8's problem from the get-go. As Tim Cook noted, it's a fridge and a toaster. The original bifurcated design tried to cater to two disparate classes and failed both, as if it were designed by a committee of one.
Huh? Well. 919-518-9773, Computers2know voice on Skype.
Hey, I want to get Nick's take on Reddit. I mean, Nick, we were talking earlier before you got on about, younger people and leaving Facebook and moving to Instagram and things like that. And we got into a little bit about Reddit. I had never been to a Reddit page until this show. But to what do you attribute the success of Reddit? And is that where a lot of young people are getting their information?
Let's see. So there's a few things with Reddit that I think make it, I guess, a place that people are flocking to. So, like, Facebook is for you, and you post pictures of you and your friends and your family, and post that you're out to eat with your family. And Reddit is more of just like there's subreddits. So there's categorized subreddits like the gaming subreddit. It's mostly just a way to keep up to date with news and stuff like that. So it's not. I wouldn't call Reddit a social network because you're not posting, oh, hey, I'm out to dinner at the diner. It's just you're just posting interesting articles, and people can look at those articles and decide, is this interesting? If so, I'll upvote it, and it will, slowly move its way up the the order up to the top of the list. Or if this is stupid, then I'm going to downvote it, and then it'll just, nothing will happen to it. You just won't see it. So I think it's an interesting concept because it's all user oriented. It's not like the staff picks an article that they think is interesting. It's, if I think it's interesting, I can click the upvote button and make it, try to make it go to the front page or whatever else. And it's kind of hard to explain. It's not an easy concept to explain.
So is this pretty much what took the place of Dig?
It's Dig. Mm-hmm. It's essentially Dig.
Huh? It's.
But I think once you start using it, you realize it's really it's a useful thing for news, because there's just so many people constantly on it that, I mean, you'll see there'll be news on there before it's on any other site, because that stuff just travels so quick in there. I'm on that site many times a day, and lots of useful information on there.
How long do you spend on it a day, do you think?
I don't know, maybe an hour or so. Maybe a little more. It depends on the day. Depends what's going on. If it's a big news day or something, I mean, I'll be on there for a while if there's a lot of interesting stuff to read.
And do you think that the truthfulness of what's going on is, I mean, do you rely on it, or
I do definitely rely on it, because a lot of this stuff is links to already written articles.
Okay.
So,
all right.
For the most part, it's linking to sources. And some of the stuff in there is just funny. Like there's just subreddits or these subcategories that are just dedicated to funny stuff, like pictures and stuff like that. So it's an interesting place to be, but you have to get used. It's very weird.
I'm wondering if Computer2know voice is not working still.
Is their IRC channel pretty active?
I didn't even know they had an IRC channel, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
I just generally browse around a few of my favorite subreddits and then get off. But there's like a world news subreddit, which is just,
subreddit.
Different stuff in there.
I like that word. It's a subreddit.
And the best part is that it's completely free. Like, there's not any way, like, you can buy like a gold account or whatever, and you don't have ads, but they don't push payment on you, and they never have, and I don't think they ever will.
So some subreddits are private.
Yes, correct.
The moderators of this subreddit have set it to private. You must be a moderator or approved submitter to view its contents.
Yeah, something like a Facebook group that you have to be approved into.
Mm-hmm.
It's the format is very weird though, and Mike's not here right now, but Mike's been on the site a few times looking at stuff, and the format is very confusing. It's not like you click on the link and it brings you to the article on a different website, and then you have to come back and look at the comments, and it flows, but you just have to get used to that.
So Nick, do you remember going to kindergarten?
Do I remember?
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess so.
Children are arriving at nursery school able to swipe a screen, but lack the manipulative skills to play with building blocks. Teachers have warned. They fear that children are being given tablets to use as a replacement for contact time with the parent, and say such habits are hindering progress at school. Addressing the Association of Teachers and Lecturers conference in Manchester on Tuesday, Colin Kinney said Excessive use of technology damages concentration and causes behavioral problems such as irritability and lack of control. What say you?
So kids are using
Everybody's
tablets
agreeing,
at
huh?
their house.
To what?
So people are giving their kids tablets.
People are giving their kids tablets, smartphones to keep them busy. And those kids, when they grow, as they grow and become toddlers, that's the whole thing here. Is they can manipulate a tablet, but they can't do anything with Legos.
Now, is there a difference between that and throwing your child in front of a TV?
Probably not.
Okay, because that's, I mean,
But
That
when
is-
you throw your kid in front of a TV, I remember we used to let Hannah sit in front of a TV for an hour or two a day on Channel 4, watching Sesame Street and learning how to count and learning, things like that. But yeah, to have your kids sit in front of the TV for 8 hours a day, yeah, that's
Yeah.
I don't think that's
No.
any different than doing this. But when teachers are saying that kids are coming to nursery schools able to swipe a phone but have no mechanical skills, that's alarming.
I wonder what the percentage of that is.
I don't know. They don't talk numbers. They're just saying that it's. People think tablet is okay because it is interactive. That's true. I mean, even back when we're looking 25 years ago, there were when Hannah was like, well, a little somewhere around there, when she was growing up, they were saying that playing games on a computer is good for the development of the brain because it is a hand-eye coordination. But you don't let the kids sit there for 6 hours. Every now and then they get on the computer and they do something, and for about half an hour or so, and they get up. Did she play with dolls? Yeah. Did she play with blocks? Yeah. So it's I guess there need to be a balance there, and if parents don't, I'm thinking now, and I'm saying, how many kids are actually, from the time that they're born until they go to nursery school, are actually with their parents 8 or 9 hours a day? Not many, because both parents have to go to work. So there's probably a babysitter or a preschool, I guess. What exactly is nursery school? When
It's
what age?
But I don't know the age.
3, 2?
Pre-K is what they refer to it a lot in Virginia.
Yeah. I honestly don't know the age.
Yeah. It's just a shame and kind of worrying when you think, what's the next generation is going to do? There is Senor Andrew. Oh, sorry. I didn't know I was potted down, Andrew.
Good morning.
Good morning.
How are you?
Fine. How are you?
Happy Easter to everybody.
Thank you.
Happy Easter.
Why is it funny that I'm saying Happy Easter?
It's not funny.
It's not. No, nothing. Never mind.
Coming from a highly religious person, it's not funny.
Well, we still do Easter every year. We have a big Easter egg hunt at my mother-in-law's. I think I told Nick about it the other day and how It's for the kids, but the youngest kid is now 22. So it's a bunch of 35-year-olds to 20-year-olds just fighting to get the eggs. It's a lot of fun.
What do you have those little plastic eggs and they put a Bitcoin in it, and that's why
Yeah,
you
they
guys
put
are
a
so
bunch of
excited
Bitcoin
about
in there, Dogecoin. They put a bunch of, but actually, there's over $200 in those eggs, so that's why everybody fights to get them.
Yeah.
it? Mm.
We do a big
So,
thing every year.
what phone is it that you have that you just got 4.4.2 on it?
I have the LG G2 on Verizon,
Oh, okay.
and it's fascinating actually because I did a story on Friday about how some Android versions they're not patched for Heartbleed. Like 4.1 isn't patched, and they said some version 4.2s that the manufacturers are putting out are not patched either. And as soon as that story came out, Verizon finally pushed this update that they've been sitting on for months. So we just got 4.2, 4.4. We got KitKat on the phone, and I'll tell you, KitKat is great and really fast.
Now, did it kill anything for you? Like, when I got 4.3 from AT&T, it killed Wi-Fi tethering, and I had to get a special app to be able to continue to do that. Everything working as normal?
Well, you know what's not working too great? I'm trying to add a number to one of my contacts, and it crashes the contacts application.
Hmm.
Every time I go to every time I edit his profile, it crashes. So I haven't seen, I'm going to see if I could do one for Joss. Let me see if I could edit this one. But that's a bizarre bug to have. And when I reset, it says that the G apps application isn't responding. So that's the only bug that I've noticed so far, but everything else seems to be running fine. The camera's as awful as it was. They didn't fix the camera bug. They added a couple more Verizon bloatware stuff to it, of course, which hopefully I'm going to root this thing next week and wipe it all out. But it's a good update. It's a really good update.
Well, that's
Nick,
good.
what are you running right now? 4.2?
I believe so. Let me look.
You mean you don't know?
No, I don't know what version of Android I'm running.
It's probably 4.3.
Yeah, no, I'm running 4.3.
Yeah, 4.3 was pretty good. 4.2 wasn't that great. I'm going to see if it crashes again now, because I just restarted the phone. Let's see. Yeah, unfortunately, the process com.google.process.g apps has stopped.
Interesting.
Yeah. I am thinking about doing like a factory reboot to see if that kind of.
It's probably not a bad idea.
Luckily now, I mean, we talk about the cloud all the time on this show. Everything that I have is on the cloud. Everything. I mean, I don't think I have any kind of localized documentation at all anymore.
Have any of you tried Chrome Remote Desktop that was released in the Google Play Store for Android?
No, it's never worked for me.
Oh, it works fine for me.
Let me see. Let me try.
It's because I have 4 monitors. It doesn't work. Unfortunately.
Oh, yeah, okay.
I love what's going on in the chat between Bruce and Dr. John RTP. I love the thing is that I'm old enough now to hide my own eggs.
Eh.
I love this.
But it's actually an impressive update. They really, this operating system has come a long way over the last 2.5 years, 3 years. It's just hopefully the manufacturers don't mess it up with their own custom stuff.
But they always do.
Yeah. See, my argument is with this: if they're going to customize it, it should look like its own operating system, like what Amazon's doing with the Kindle.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a fan of that. I'm not a fan of taking Android and just slapping on a bunch of bloatware and 5,000 applications that do essentially the same thing and call it your own version. Which that's what everybody does.
Uh-oh. Steve, what do you mean?
You're having problems with Computers 2K voice.
Andrew just...
Yeah,
I couldn't
it's-
get on. It kept saying connecting.
I was the volume was down, so I couldn't hear it, and I was doing things because I rebooted the machine because I was afraid that, I mean, when I saw Steve in the chat and he wasn't on Skype, I was worried that the same thing that happened last week happened now, so I went ahead and rebooted the machine to make sure that it works. That's why. And then I just happened to catch the glimpse of the box that says that you were calling. But Steve, so are you? Is it ringing and no answer? That's interesting. If it doesn't work to that, then Steve, use the guest one.
If he wants, I can hang up and he could try
No,
calling.
no. That's got nothing to do with that. No,
How do you know, Amnon?
I know. Look, if you want to leave, leave.
No, I'm staying. I'm not going anywhere. Mike Phillips is here, and I'm not going to go.
Oh. Let me turn up the volume here. Maybe he's calling on the other one. But listen to this. Amazon Web Services has cut its prices on 40 plus consecutive occasions. At times leading the charge, at other times countering similar moves by Microsoft and Google. This article at CRN includes some interesting behind-the-scenes trivia about how Amazon keeps costs down, including some interesting speculations. For example, that perhaps the reason Amazon Glacier storage is so cheap is that maybe it might be based on, at least partly, on tape, not disk. Amazon would not comment. The article also explains that the company will only pay its employees to fly economy, and that includes its senior executives. If they feel the need to upgrade to business or first class, they must do so from their own pocket. And instead of buying hardware from an OEM vendor, AWS sources its own components, everything from processors to disk drives to memory and network cards, and uses contract manufacturing to put together its machines. I don't see anything wrong with any of that stuff.
I don't either.
That's very innovative, very smart. Take money from one pocket, put it in the other. And if tape works for storage and nobody's complaining about anything, hey, do it. Do it.
A lot of companies die out because they spend too much on extravagant things. It's smart for them to be protecting their company and their brand like that.
Steve, if you're still there, try it again and let me know if it's not answering. So, Andrew, did you find anything else about Vaughn?
No, they're moving to a new server, so they're waiting to put in all the settings.
What happened?
Their website, the Vaughn is totally down. One of the companies that they work with, they had a fiber problem.
Ah.
So they've been down for almost 24 hours.
Yeah.
Listen, Vaughn is a good little service, but remember, it's a one-man show.
Yeah.
Yep. When there's problems, you just wait.
We've got to wait until he fixes it. I mean,
Well,
nothing against him. I mean, that's the nature of it.
Yeah.
It's one guy.
There's Steve. Good morning, Steve.
Good morning, gentlemen and ladies.
I just saw.
Good morning, Steve.
Good morning. I'm on the laptop for the first time. That's why I was making a mistake. It was completely my error, so don't look at any problems at your end, Amnon.
What were you? Oh, so you were actually calling my personal connection?
Yes, it was me
Oh,
just being
okay. Well, no, it's
stupid.
fine. It's fine. No, it's not stupid. It's okay.
It is. But, oh, yeah, it was a nightmare getting Skype installed on here. I mean, it had, obviously, Skype on Windows 8.1, which is full screen, extremely useful. But no, I'm on Windows 7 partition at the moment.
All right.
So laptop for the first time. Yoo-hoo.
Going back to Vaughn, I mean, yeah, 1-man operation, but I don't know if that notice that he put there is true or not, but he was saying that the redundant fiber connection went, their fiber connection went down, was cut while they were maintenance on the other one.
Yeah.
For
Not
one,
him, though. Not him. The company,
Yeah.
the server that they use,
Yes,
company that
yes.
they use.
That's he's got a lot of money going into this thing.
Yeah. I don't know if he. I mean, he has ads, so he's making some revenue. It's great. I mean, listen, more options, the better. The
Absolutely.
more services there are, the better it is for us. They stay competitive. They allow us to use as many as we want.
Yep.
I think it's great. Before you guys were talking about Reddit, I practically live on Reddit. I'm on Reddit all day long.
Yep.
And Jessica too. Jessica is on Reddit all day.
She's not working, huh?
Well, no, she works 2 days a week, so the rest of the time she's on Reddit. But it's great. I mean, there's so much to learn on there. I mean, my favorite subreddit is Today I Learned, and it's just random things that you probably didn't know.
There's the other good one is Explain It to Me Like I'm 5.
Explain It to Me Like I'm 5 is great too if you want to learn something.
That's really complex. They really there's people that really break it down and make it learnable.
I mean, there's so many subreddits. I mean, there's thousands of subreddits. So pretty much if you're interested in any kind of topic, it exists. I mean, there's a podcasting subreddit. There's a video production subreddit. I mean, and then you could create your profile and subscribe to the ones that you want and kind of customize Reddit to fit what you need. But all my show prep for any show that I do comes from Reddit.
Is subreddit means that it's a lower quality than Reddit?
No,
it's subcategory.
So there's Reddit, right? And Reddit, you could pretty much you could go to the front page of Reddit and see what's happening. And that's compiled based on the subreddits. So subreddits are just categories or communities.
Interesting. I haven't been there either. I know people that are that swear by it. It may be interesting. Let's go ruin it.
It's great. There's a podcasting one.
How would you ruin it?
I don't know. Just by being there, old people being there.
Yeah, but the thing is you don't have you don't have to have an account to use it.
Yeah, that's the great part. You could just go and view whatever's happening.
Yeah, I know people that have been using the site for 3 years and don't have an account. They just browse. And
so what's the benefit of an account?
You can post and stuff, but I mean, I've posted maybe a handful of times on Reddit. It's more I just consume.
Mm-hmm.
And people determine so if it gets popular on Reddit, it's upvoted and downvoted. So the community determines if it's a good post or not. Reddit is probably the reason why Dig went out of business. Because Dig's algorithm was really whacked out, and a lot of these companies were gaming the system when it came to being displayed on the front page. And Reddit was able to kind of come up with an algorithm that wasn't gameable.
Oh yeah, it's all community voted and stuff. So there really is no way to buy your front page, which is good.
Yeah, that is very good. So who runs it?
I have no clue.
The company?
Is there a company that's running it?
Yeah, actually, I believe they were part of Condé Nast, and Condé Nast sold them. Or there was a story. I can't remember what the story was, but they were affiliated to a big brand.
Is there any kind of moderation?
Yeah, it's self-moderated.
It's all user moderated. Yeah. So if somebody, if Amnon, you're in there and you're misbehaving, all your stuff's just going to get downvoted and nobody's ever going to see it.
Okay.
Yeah, they were acquired by Condé Nast in 2006.
That's a long time ago.
Yeah. But I mean, in 2006, there was nothing there.
All right.
They have 28 employees.
That's it.
Yep.
Yep.
They don't
Because
need
they
more.
don't have to do anything
Yeah,
besides
that's true.
keep the servers up.
That's true.
Sounds like my kind of company.
Do they have ads?
Yeah.
So that's how they make their money.
Oh,
Yep.
but the ads are mostly internal ads.
So how do
Like
they
if
make
you go
their
to-
money?
I have no clue.
Maybe.
But like if
maybe-
you go
No, they have,
if you
they
go
have
to Reddit,
sponsored posts. Nick, they do.
yeah,
do
they have sponsored posts as
posts.
well.
Yeah.
So let's say you're a food you're a food company, and you go to the food porn subreddit, which is not porn at all. It's just pictures of food.
Yeah.
You'll take the top spot, and it'll say that this is advertising for this subreddit. They pay to be in that spot, in the top spot.
So you can buy your way into.
You can, but it's not affected by anything else that's being upvoted or downvoted. It's just that's an ad, and they make it very clear that it's an ad.
Yeah, like.
Like Amnon, you couldn't
users-
buy
but
like the
users
third
could
spot
like
on
it.
Reddit.
What'd you say, Andrew?
The users could upvote or downvote the ad, and they figure out if the ad works or if it doesn't work that way.
Okay. But what did you say, Nick?
Oh, and no, that's what I was saying.
Oh.
Like, you can kind of buy your way,
So
but if people hate it, if your ad sucks, it's gonna get downvoted.
So does that mean that when you go and you read it, you also have to vote on it? Or you should?
No, you don't have to.
Yeah, I understand, but you should. So it's, and is it each post has like an icon on it to vote it up,
Yep.
vote it down?
Each post to the left of it has an up arrow and a down arrow.
Okay.
Yeah. Now you said that you don't post much. You consume. Do you vote up
Yeah.
and down much?
No, not at all.
Why?
Very rarely do I vote.
I recently have gotten into it.
See, now the way to vote up and down is you have to be browsing the new section. At the top of each subreddit, there's a few different categories. One of the categories is hot, which is stuff that's at the top. There's a new, a rising, and then a few other ones. So if you browse the new category, which is just brand new posts, upvoting and downvoting is really important. But if you're browsing the hot subreddit, it's already got like 20,000 upvotes, so one more doesn't really matter. Would you agree with that, Andrew?
Yeah, you're absolutely right.
And is anything gets deleted after a certain time, or it just keeps on building?
Well, if you have a bunch of downvotes, it just never shows up
It
anywhere.
never
Nobody
takes
will
a
ever
traction,
see it.
but nothing ever gets deleted. No, they don't delete unless it's against their terms of service.
Okay. I mean, sometimes, like when you go on Google and you Google on something, you really have to see how old it is, because things may have changed.
Oh, all of this stuff is recent. Nothing is on the front page for more than I would say a few hours.
But if you
Yeah,
search,
I would say the longest 24 hours to be on the front page.
Yeah, then you're gone. So it's all recent.
but if
if
you
you want-
search, you get to all the old.
Yeah,
stuff.
but you don't really search.
Oh,
Like
So, Amnon, right now, this morning I started reading about why General Motors still uses pushrod V8s. So this guy is doing this entire explanation on why they still use pushrod engines. I mean, that's fascinating stuff and they explain it for the regular guy to understand.
mm-hmm. and
That
and
that to me is interesting. So I would sit down and I'll read like the car. It's called the self car subreddit.
interesting. Yeah, maybe we need to get into it and get involved, and maybe we can help.
There's a lot to learn. I mean, if you're an information junkie like me, I know Mike is. Mike likes to sit and read and kind of, discover new things. You'll go down that rabbit hole really quick, and it'll be hours and hours of reading.
I can't get into it. I've tried. I'm
That's
sitting
bad.
here looking back through some things that I've looked at previously because it remembers where you've been.
Hmm.
I've got some karma and garbage here. And here's a post that somebody made. I replied to under podcasting. And as soon as you say anything, some jackass has got to come along and argue with you.
Well, that's the nature of the internet, right?
Yeah,
That's
that's
how
the
it is.
internet.
Well, I mean, who needs it? Here's a guy, you talk about an ATR 2100, and here's a guy who says, well, I've always used audio interfaces with XLR inputs like the M-Audio M-Track and a standard vocal stage mic like a Shure SM58. So now we're at $300 versus at the time $32. Right. Good comparison. Really good contribution to the discussion there. Easily distracted, thepodcast.com.
Well,
Yeah,
but everybody's a know-it-all.
I had one negative experience on there. My wife's cousin is the creator of Celebrity Deathmatch, and he did an Ask Me Anything, an AMA, and people are asking him, and I went on there. I'm like, Eric, it's your cousin Andrew from New York, and we were talking, and all these people started downvoting me and reporting me to Reddit, saying that I'm making it up and I'm not really related to him. And I actually he had to prove that I'm related to him so they don't close my account.
But see, comments, and this is interesting, actually. I was going to make a comment about this a while ago. In that, apparently, and I guess this is something that Nick said previously, was that he didn't do a lot of commenting on things, or he didn't read the comments, I believe is what he said.
Yeah.
As I look here at some things on Reddit, if you go particularly to the home page, I guess it is, let me see. Yeah, it takes you to the home page, and I guess it ranks the most popular posts here.
Yep.
And if you look down on the list that I have, number 12 is how to mess up an interview in the first 10 seconds. This is a YouTube video that someone highlighted on Reddit. There are 956 comments.
Yeah.
What is the purpose of who is going to read 956 comments?
A lot of people do.
I don't
I
believe
sit there and if it's a topic that I like, I sit there and I read all the comments.
956
Okay.
comments.
Well,
So give me
I would think
I'm looking at a story right now. It says Saudi man fined for allowing his wife to drive. So he got fined $239. And then I go to the comments, and one of the comments says, Dr. Yamuka of the University of Astana proved that women's brains are the size of a squirrel's. Isn't this justification enough to prohibit them from driving?
They're dead serious. The operative did.
I would
A
think
lot of them are messing around too.
Andrew-
Which is funny. The comments are hysterical.
Yeah.
Andrew, would I be wrong in saying that you're not really reading all the comments? You're scanning through it and you're stopping at stuff that you may be
Yeah, sure.
interested.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not like just sitting there reading.
This reminds me of the newspapers that used to show up at the checkout in the grocery store. Man cuts off head with chainsaw and lives.
There you go. Here's the first comment on this article that I just mentioned. Bye Bye Brain said she had her Coachella vocal fry voice going on there. God, I hate girls born after 1990.
By the way, how many times have I spoken about that?
Okay, so
about what?
Vocal fry.
I've never heard of it.
Vocal fry. It's actually a speech impediment that 20-year-old girls are now getting, where they all speak like they're the Kardashians. It's
Yeah.
actually like it's an epidemic. There was a whole thing on CBS about it, on how all these women now have this speech problem because that's how they're all speaking.
What is it? I mean, I don't. What is the character?
I'll say, we're going to Brooklyn today.
Raspiness type thing.
Raspy and slow, and really dumb.
Yeah, that's
Really
definitely a
dumb.
good way not to get a job.
Well, they're all getting major positions in PR companies, so
Well,
maybe
yeah,
I
but
should just
those aren't real jobs.
One of the things we notice over here in the UK is that an awful lot of people seem to talk through their nose in America, very nasally.
Well, you remember, it used to be what we call Valley speak. Oh, that is so, yes, that is so in, that is so, and of course that somewhat fell out of vogue among people with brains.
It's almost like Valley Speak, but it's with a like a raspiness.
Well, that's probably caused by smoking.
No, that's just how they all speak now. It's in, and if you don't speak like that, it's a huge thing in high schools. If you don't speak like that, it's not good.
They all talk like they've got a cold.
Steve, stop making fun of us.
Oh, I'm sorry.
You know, at some point, I mean, I'll just make this comment, you know, too many people are not living locally anymore. They're not into their local neighborhood, their local politics as much. You know, you spend time looking at all this stuff and you're just way out there, thousands of miles away. And while it may be interesting and everything, to me, I'm wondering how much of it becomes a real time sink and removes you away from more important things. And when you were talking earlier about children and iPads and stuff like that, you know, how many times today do you have a situation where a 3 or 4 year old is you know, off in the corner somewhere with an iPad while their parents are glued to their iPhone and their iPad, and the child's getting neglected. They're not having any, you know, educational, stimulating conversation. I mean, you know, this, you know, I know I'm maybe going a little off base here and to an extreme. But, you know, there are times when I get into this stuff and I feel like, you know, maybe I ought to just check out of all this stuff.
See ya.
I mean, serious. I mean, you know, is there a point at all to what I just said?
Yeah,
I'm sure there's a scenario where that happens. Yes.
And I'm not just hearkening back to my, you know, my days as a young person. I'm you know, I love technology. I'm all for advancing and stuff like that. But I think you can exponentially come to a place where, you know, how much information can you sort out and everything without, you know, tipping your scales or stretching you off into an area where you're not going to will not have as much effect or shouldn't have as much effect as you could have if you were living more locally.
How much? How much?
You asking me?
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm just raising the question and the issue.
I do think you're right. The local living has totally changed. That doesn't exist. I'm in the suburbs in New York City, and it's still a very localized feel here compared to, you know, living in Manhattan, which is 20 minutes away. I don't think I could ever live in, you know, Manhattan because of that.
Because
Because there's no personality, there's no connection.
so you have more connection, more personality where you are now.
I think so. You know who you're around. You know the neighbors. You know the businesses. You support local businesses. This concept of not supporting everything has to be a national franchise. People that go into local business because they feel like they're going to miss out on something if they do.
Yeah, there's no doubt. I mean, everybody should support their local businesses. And when you don't, that's when those businesses go out of business, and then you have to go to a national thing.
Well, why should people support local businesses? I don't get that.
That's why.
I don't get it.
If you don't,
Because then a Walmart comes in.
Well, so what? So people say buy American. People say support your local business. I say, okay, local business, then you be a competitor and you provide the best quality, the best service at a reasonable price. And I'll do business with you automatically. You don't need to try to shame me into doing it.
I'm willing to pay a little more. Like Jess went to go buy bread, and she could have
As am I. But a little more, not twice.
Jess could have gone to the supermarket and spent 35 cents less. She doesn't because she wants to go and support this family-owned business that's been here for 30 years.
I understand. but they're providing her something that she can't get at the supermarket.
Well, she
The
can buy it at the
personal
supermarket.
connection. The personal connection, right?
Yeah, I mean, and it's the fact that it's, they've been here forever, and the big business is not going to suffer by just going to the small business, but the small business will suffer.
I'm not going to be shamed into doing business with anyone. If you want to earn my business, get out there and compete. If you can't compete, then unfortunately that's the breaks.
But is it possible to compete with a Walmart?
Say again?
Is it possible to compete with an Amazon or a Walmart? I don't think it is.
Oh, absolutely. If I need a fry cooker today, can I wait for it to come from Amazon?
You got it tomorrow.
I said today.
No, you have to go in.
You pay for the convenience, and I often do that. If I want to go in and buy some socks or something that I want to look at before I buy it, I go into a local store. Can I buy it cheaper on Amazon? Probably.
By the same token, you cannot compete with Walmart as a small business.
Oh, I don't know. I don't know about that.
No, Mike, I agree with you. You make a good point about that because I hear that buy local business thing, and I know for a fact there's local businesses here that their prices are ridiculous.
Yeah, if it's ridiculous, absolutely forget about it.
Well, who's to say what's ridiculous?
But you know what? Well, let me tell you something.
$5 more than the major brand. Screw them.
I don't know. I don't know what that number is.
If it's $5 more on a $200 item, it's not a big deal. If it's $5 more on a $2 item, it's a big deal.
All right.
Yeah, I agree with that.
But the thing is, this is that vicious circle with the small business.
Is exactly what I was getting ready to say. John in Florida says, if the local grocery store goes out of business, you have to travel further. And you know what that means if it goes out of business and you have to travel further? You create a market for a local grocery store, and then you open it up and you can justify slightly higher prices in exchange for the convenience. And it's what Amnon was saying. It's a vicious circle.
And no, I was going to a different thing about the vicious.
That's where you should have been going, because that was the right answer.
Is when you are the local grocery store and you're losing customers and you have to make money, you're raising your prices. And then you lose more people because of that, and you're raising your prices even more. And before you know it, you're out of business because nobody comes in.
Case in point, there is a hardware store around the corner from me. They used to be an Ace Hardware. They are now independent. Whenever they stopped the Ace franchise, their prices went up 20 to 50%. It's just ridiculous. However, they have an extraordinary selection of screws, nuts, bolts, little things that I went in there a month or two ago. I was sitting there browsing through these little racks of parts and things they have, and found a part that I had spent, I don't know how much time trying to find on the internet. I finally found it at a particular supplier. I ordered a lifetime supply of them so I wouldn't have to look for them again. And I walk into this local hardware store, and there they are on the shelf, sitting right there. And I could have bought one or two of them at a time. That's okay, no big deal. Just go in and look. But my point is that even now, even though the Lowe's store is just a little bit farther away than this local hardware store, the Lowe's prices are 20 to 50% cheaper. I will go to this local hardware store and pay a higher price because I want them to be there for the items that I need that no one else carries. Mm-hmm. So I spread the business around a little bit. But if they said, you need to buy from us instead of Lowe's because we're locally owned, I'd say take a hike. I'd say you need to compete in the areas where you have strengths that the other stores don't have. And if the market's not big enough for your company to compete in that space, then that's unfortunate. I don't expect someone to operate a business at a loss for my convenience. You got to eat.
Yep, that's a very good point.
And this thing about buy American cars, I will never drive a foreign car. I'm going to support the American workers. Get out of here.
Most of the American cars today are foreign.
They are foreign. You know what, Bill? I'll never again buy another General Motors or Chrysler car. But I would say to whomever else manufactures in the United States, you build the best car, I'm going to buy it. I don't care that it's made in the United States or not made in the United States. You
I haven't
win
bought
a
an
free
American
market.
car since 2000.
Yep.
Nick, what'd you say?
I didn't say anything.
Um, if we're done talking about this, I want somebody that knows anything about that can talk about two-step verification.
What
I
about
don't,
it?
I don't use it, just so people know what it's about, and somebody that uses it.
I use it on a service.
Okay, so what do you have to do when you go there?
So, for example, I use two-factor authentication for a game service called Blizzard.
Okay,
More particularly, it's Battle.net.
okay.
And let's see, I can show this. I don't think anybody. Let's see. Give me a second here.
Sure. I mean, it's just interesting to know
Open
more
my
about
webcam
it.
settings. We get a sticky note.
Can they tell me that I'm copyright? I've got copyrighted if I whistle it, Mike.
I doubt it because it's not close enough to the real thing yet. No.
Okay.
Okay, so if we take a look here, let's see. Oh, let me just turn down my brightness a little bit.
Does that mean I can whistle happy birthday to myself tomorrow?
Okay, so if we look at that, that is my Battle.net authenticator. I
Actually-
covered up about half of the numbers, and every, I think, 30 seconds, that green bar at the bottom will reach the end, and it
Okay.
will...
So you went to
let's-
the site and it asked you to log in.
I put in my email address,
Okay, it's
my
done.
password, yep, and then I will open up the app on my phone,
So
and
wait-
every
wait,
30 seconds
wait,
I'll
wait.
get a...
Hold it a sec. So you put your username and password, and you're
Yes.
waiting for something to happen.
No, there's a prompt that asks me to put in my my authenticator key.
Okay.
And then I open up the app on my phone and I put in my 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7,
Whatever.
my 8
Yeah.
number authentication code,
Yeah.
and then I log in.
So where is the two-factor here?
Username, email, and password.
Okay, so you put your username and password instead of being right in, you
It
getting
pulls
another
up another prompt. Yep.
Okay.
It says, "All right, what's your 8-digit code?" I put that in, and then I'm set.
Why don't banks do that?
Yeah, I don't know. My local bank doesn't do that either, and I find that stupid.
Banks wants you to use a 4-digit PIN.
Yeah, there's lots of combinations.
Yeah,
there.
lots of combinations, right. That is ridiculous.
I mean, I like the two. There's certain things that I'll use. Like, for example, that service requires two-factor authentication.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have a choice. I have to use it. But for most things, like I honestly, I wouldn't put a two-factor authentication code on a Gmail account.
And you can. They do have the
You
mechanism
can.
for it.
Yeah, I'm just, you know what? Oh, no. I mean, what's the worst that happens? I lose my Gmail account. I could get it back, I'm sure.
Yeah.
But it's sometimes it's a pain to use two-factor authentication.
Online
You know, I'm trying to
banking
sit
in
at my
the UK is
computer and
quite a lot
log into my
different
email,
now.
and I've got to figure out where I left my phone.
Steve?
I mean,
Yes, the online banking in the UK is obviously a lot different than what it is in America then, because over here I've got to put in my surname with a capital letter. I've got to put in a membership number or a user number, and then it asks me for a five-digit numeric code, and then another box asks me for letter, and it's random, of a say a whatever password I pick. It picks various letters at random each time I log on. So that's 4 levels of security.
Yeah. How big is the second, that numeric membership, whatever?
Hang on a second.
I mean, is it a 4-digit or is it more?
It's 12.
Yeah, we see there. That's
yeah, but that, like, for example, like, if somebody was to figure out Steve's membership number, they've got what, 2 or 3 keys to the puzzle there. So I mean,
It's still not enough.
kind of
You
no,
still
but
got two separate layers left to go that you've got to get absolutely right. Otherwise, it just kicks you off.
And
You
what
get one
are
of
the
them
other
wrong and
what are the other things again?
Well, you've got to put your username, sorry, your surname in and spell
Okay.
it with a capital letter. You can't just put lowercase. You have to put capital letter. But again, if you don't know that, you then have a membership number, which is 12 digits.
All right.
You then have a 5-digit passcode that you've got to put in. And then it asks you for 2 letters from whatever word you've said is your password. And that could be 20 digits long.
Okay.
So what does it ask you? Like if you have a 10-digit long password, it says what is the second and eighth?
Yes, that's right.
Okay.
But then that's random each and every time.
Yeah.
So, that to me that's pretty damn secure.
Yes. And they're complaining here that people are getting their stuff. But again, when it forces you to do that, that's good. But if it was up to people, I don't think a big percentage of people would actually choose to go that way.
You're right. I don't think they would, because people like the simplest, quickest, easiest method, because they haven't got time to have anything that's complicated that they should not need to remember. For goodness sake, I just want to hit enter and go in.
Yeah.
No, and there are people that are just lazy, but there's also like I log in and out of I log in and out of I have like 6 Gmail accounts.
Yeah.
I log in and out of those accounts all day. If I had to go to my phone every time and get a password, I'd pull my hair out. I mean, there's certain things that I would use two-factor authentication on, like a bank, like a PayPal account.
Yeah.
Something where something is really important, but I'm not going to sit there and get a code on my phone every time I have to log into a Gmail account. It's just not going to happen.
Right.
It's not worth it.
Now you can see why Amnon, Mike, and myself, what we do most of the day, we pull our hair out.
Speak for yourself.
See?
It just gets to that point where it's just all right, great.
I'm still. The reason why I say it is because I come across so many people around that use stupid passwords, and you see it. I just moved a website over, a pretty hefty website, and it's all one big shopping cart, and it has a back end for the owner to go in and change things and see what information about it. And I wanted to put it in with the same passwords and everything, so it will be easy for them. But right when they told me what it was, I said, no, there's no way that I'm going to do that on my server. It is ridiculous that people are still using dictionary words as their password to their livelihood. I mean, for God's sakes, you don't really need to remember it. There are a lot of programs out there that will remember it for you. And you can come, did I change it by much? No, I added a pound sign here and a number there and made one of the letters big. Capital. That made it strong. But people are just not thinking that way, and that is a big problem with security and with identities being stolen and money being stolen, but insurance pays for it, so what do I care, right? That's how people are thinking. Andrew, you still here?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay.
But I'm going to have to go in a little bit. I was just
That's all
listening.
right. That's fine.
Gotta get ready to go to Easter.
Here is, he says, here is another story of tech gadget that arrived before its time. Nokia created a web-ready tablet running EPOC, later to be renamed as Symbian, 13 years ago. The tablet was set up to go into full production, and they actually built 1,000 units just before it was canceled. The tablet was scrubbed because market research showed there wasn't demand for the device. The team got devices for themselves, and the rest were destroyed. The team was then fired. The lesson? Don't try to be a pioneer if you're relying on market research studies. 13 years ago, they had a tablet, web-ready tablet. And there's no demand for it. Nobody's going to use it. And I don't know, back then, if they asked me, I would have probably said the same thing. So it took Apple, right?
It took Apple what?
To bring the tablet into.
Oh, yeah.
And talking about Apple, I don't understand this, but obviously, given Apple's status as the world's most valuable company and its enormous cash hoard, their refusal to offer even meager support to open source and industry groups is puzzling. From this article, Apple bundles software from the Apache Software Foundation with its OS X operating system, but does not financially support the Apache Software Foundation in any way. That is in contrast to Google and Microsoft, Apple, two chief competitors, which are both platinum sponsors of ASF, the Apache Software Foundation, signifying a contribution of $100,000 annually to the foundation. $100,000 for Apple. What is $100,000? Sponsorships range as low as $5,000 a year, said Sally Kuderi, ASF Director of Marketing and Public Relations. The ASF is a vendor natural, and all code contributions to the foundation are done on an individual basis. Apple employees are frequent individual contributors to Apache, the employees. However, their employer is not. The company has been a sponsor of ApacheCon, a for-profit conference that runs separately from the foundation, but not in the last 10 years. We were told they didn't have the budget, she said, of effort to get Apple support for ApacheCon in 2004, a year in which the company reported net income of $276 million on revenue of $8.28 billion. That's kind of strange. Apple now is using a lot of open source, I would imagine, because of their operating system, which is open source anyway. Why not support this and other?
Why do you think, Amnon?
Stingy.
Yes, thank you. Ding, 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 ding. Apple. Bunch of idiots.
It's a shame.
Yeah.
I mean, the employees do, but the company would not.
Think about what Apache's done for the internet.
I know, made the internet.
It's running what? What did you say? Probably more than half of the internet.
Yes.
I mean, and Apple just of course.
Yeah. Oops, Andrew already left.
He hates you.
Last night I spent some time. I was just curious. I had never seen the Jobs movie on Netflix. Mm-hmm. So I watched the Jobs movie, and then I watched two documentaries on Netflix about Steve Jobs. It was quite interesting. And
what'd you think?
Well, I mean, it kind of underscored pretty much what most people already said about, Steve Jobs. He was a, genius in some ways in marketing, but he was a real butthead, when it comes to, the way he treated his friends and stuff like that. He was a taker, a user. Obviously, very creative person. But it was interesting. I really enjoyed it.
Well, Tim Cook's as bad as he is as far as the personality department.
Oh yeah.
Before anybody blows a gasket, Bill Gates probably is too.
Nick,
Hey, Emma.
your hosting is back up, isn't it?
Hosting.
Hosting service that you did not want to talk about last week.
Oh, yeah. We'll talk about it at the end of the show. Don't worry about it now.
And then you
I'm
have
part of
something,
it.
and then you have something. You're starting something new.
Yeah, we'll talk about it at the end.
No, this we can talk about now because people need to know about it and more.
We'll
I mean,
yeah,
tell
we
us-
can talk
tell
about it
us-
at the end of the show.
Oh, listen to him.
Well, you do your promo things at the end of the show. We'll talk about it at the end.
This is nothing to
But
do.
people might have questions about it.
Okay. So what
I
would you
want
like
to
me
hear
talk
about
Emma?
Gamerland and about.
I'm not going to talk about that right now because it's not.
and
100%.
about the calendar.
Look, I'm not talking about the calendar.
Okay, don't talk about the calendar.
We need
Why?
to because we need to figure out if we need to find a service to use for the calendar.
Okay.
Currently, we don't have a service, so we're not going to talk about that.
All
What?
right.
The
Okay.
one you picked is not the one you want to stick with.
Well, I do. It's just I'm not paying $300 for it. So what do you want me to talk about though? The hosting then, Amnon?
You can talk about the hosting. I wanted you to talk about the other ones, but
Well,
fine, you
I
can
want to
talk-
talk about them once they're mature and I can actually answer questions and stuff about them.
all right. So Nick has outerlimithost.com.
Yes.
It's
just-
not that engine is not starting. Let me do it again.
No.
And
I'm
it-
starting.
oh,
I'm starting.
okay.
So, I've started as you probably know if you listened to the show before. I've done the whole Roku app and web design stuff under Craig Digital Designs, and I offered web hosting, just because I could and I had the availability to. But it was kind of hard to brand Roku apps and web development and web hosting all in the same platform. So I've started outerlimithost.com, and it's just regular shared hosting. I think pretty inexpensive to get your website hosted, and yeah, it's just normal shared hosting. Nothing too special about it.
Right.
It's just another hosting company.
And you're doing, you're very good at WordPress and updating it and maintaining it
Yeah.
and troubleshoot it. And I'm surprised how many people are going for WordPress these days for really simple things.
It's funny because I was doing that as well. I was doing every website I was doing was WordPress, no matter how simple it was. And
Yeah.
then I realized that WordPress is WordPress is sluggish. There's a lot of stuff running in the background on
Right.
WordPress. So now I've kind of transitioned from WordPress on all of my sites to now some sites I'm just using going on like ThemeForce and buying $10 or $20 just HTML5 templates that are pretty nice.
Yep.
So it's an interesting switch because WordPress is slow. If you're running WordPress on a site and there's a lot of stuff there, it's not quick. WordPress is not a
Well,
quick
the
platform.
problems that I see with WordPress, it's slow, it is bloated, it really needs somebody like Nick to keep updating it and make sure because it has a lot of
but even
security
that, there's
problems.
just so much stuff running in the background on
Yeah.
WordPress that
But it does make it easy for somebody who's not
Yeah.
web savvy to update it and things like as far as the content, not development but content. So if you have a website and it is WordPress, I keep saying WordPerfect. It is WordPress. You can, and if you have one, I know you need help with it. Get in touch with Nick.
and it's not just WordPress hosting either.
Yeah, no,
It's
I'm
any
talking about
hosting.
right. Here is the link. Another piece of Mike, you had something?
I don't remember.
Oh. According to the Virginia Tech Transportation Institute, people who text and drive increase their chances of safety critical events by a multiple of 23.2. And new research is constantly rolling out showing the same thing. We can't handle the visual, manual, and cognitive commitment of using a phone while driving, writes blogger Kevin Purdy. What's needed, he suggests, isn't more laws that will go ignored, but phones that know enough to stop giving us the distraction we ask them for. I think the next good phone, the next phone that makes some variant of the claim that it fits the way you live, needs to know that we don't know what is good for us when it comes to driving. We want to be entertained and shown new things while doing the often mundane or stressful task of driving. More specifically, those phones should know when we are driving, quiet or otherwise obscure updates from most apps, and be able to offer their most basic functions without needing to turn on a screen or type a single letter. I have a problem with that. This sounds like, again, the dumbing down of people. You don't know how to make a decision, so we'll make the decision for you.
Yeah,
so you
I agree
will
with that.
forget about how to make decisions.
I agree with that.
Give me a break. The phone needs to know when you're driving. Turn it off. I mean, if that's your problem, be proactive here. Turn it off. Turn down the ringer. Put it in someplace where you can't really look at it. Use a hands-free. If you want to answer the phone and talk, it's fine. All you have to do is just touch your thing and it answers. You don't need to look at the phone. But people just can't get away from it. They want to look at it. They want to know who's calling. And take your eyes off the road. Yep, you're going to get in trouble. I'm guilty of that too. I mean, oh, Andrew's telling me I'm off mic.
I've been telling you that for 2 weeks. Nick, did you see the comment in chat?
I did not.
Should. Jeff Bundy wants to know the name of the site for the HTML5 themes.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know, on the on this phone thing and driving, of course, you know, I just finished a 13-hour trip down here and got another one going back tomorrow. And sometimes I like to use the Waze app because I can share my ETA with the people that I'm going to visit and stuff like that. It's kind of interesting. But, you know, like with Waze, you know, you're driving along, and especially if you got other people in the car that are wanting to kind of take a snooze, depending on how you have the volume set up on the Bluetooth in the car, and I'm in this Camaro SS rental, you know, and also you're driving along, it's nice and quiet, you know, all of a sudden, warning, vehicle on right, you know, and so then you get this pop-up, and then you're prompted to either tap it and say, okay, it's still there, or it's not there anymore. And so, you know, you drive along and you want to reach up and tap all these things. So I had my granddaughter be the official tapper so that I didn't have to do that.
What? There was a car years ago that projected the gauges to the windshield.
Well, the Camaro SS does. It's got a little projection unit. Only the driver can see it. But it's a little projection unit built on the dash, and it throws up on the windshield the speedometer and the tach. And I like it. It's just kind of interesting.
Yes, no
And
specials today.
Bluetooth connectivity was so much easier on this GM car than, again, I've mentioned this before on the show, than Microsoft's or Ford Sync was.
Bluetooth connectivity to the in with the car.
Yeah, setting it up. When you get into a rental car, especially, they'll keep up to 5 profiles. So I had to delete some profiles before I could, connect mine. But it's just the user interface for pairing up a phone with the GM Bluetooth UI was so much easier than the Ford Sync.
Is the Ford Sync same thing as the GM? No. Does GM have something like that?
GM uses a brand. Chrysler has a brand they use. Toyotas have another that they use.
Who dumped Microsoft?
Well, Ford is not going to be using Microsoft Sync anymore.
Okay. So Ford Sync is Microsoft's? Or is Ford Sync
It has been. It has been. It will not be in the future.
Okay. Nick, any gaming news? What are you playing these days?
Nothing.
Well, you were playing a game yesterday. I did too. I played Space Invaders.
How was that?
It was funny.
Where were you playing it?
Online. I don't know.
I'm sure it was illegal.
Really?
It must have been. I would assume so.
I don't know.
When
I was
video
looking
game
for,
news. Give me 1 second here.
Controversy here. On the heels, while Nick is looking for news, on the heels of a study that concluded there was less than 1% chance, Mike, listen, that current global warming could be simple fluctuations, UN scientists say energy from renewables, nuclear reactors, and power plants that use emissions capture technology needs to be triple in order to keep climate changes within safe limits. From the Washington Post, during a news conference Sunday, another co-chair from India said the goal of limiting a rise in global temperatures cannot be achieved without cooperations. What comes out very clearly from this report is that the high-speed mitigation train needs to leave the station soon, and all the global society need to get on board. Mike?
What?
Nothing.
Yeah, some things are just not even worth commenting on. If you're that breathtakingly stupid, then I think you need to deserve to wallow in your own stupidity.
I take offense to that.
You could. Go tell them, Nick, about the Pandora's Promise.
Yeah, if you guys have Netflix, you should check this. It's a documentary, right?
Yep.
It's called Pandora's Promise. It's about, I'd say about an hour and a half, 2 hours, and it's all about nuclear energy. Honestly, I didn't have a huge opinion on nuclear energy, and I guess I really don't. But if you have any interest at all in nuclear energy, you should definitely watch it. Very informative.
Very well done. Excellent photography. It even has a bunch of lefties involved, so it's not just right-wing propaganda. So just watch it and see, and you will come away more educated about nuclear energy than you were before.
And it's not a big politics thing either. It's more just like, this is what nuclear energy is. Here is a Geiger counter someplace. Like it
explodes some myths that have been propagated about nuclear energy. Mm-hmm. And you're free to throw rocks at the TV if you want, but at least if you're going to watch all of the left-wing propaganda in the media, you ought to balance it with something, at least something that's down the center instead of all left stuff all the time. It's called Pandora's Promise. It is on Netflix. I watched it with a friend of mine who is he has a an undergraduate degree in electrical engineering and in chemistry from MIT. He also is a medical doctor. His hobby is he studies weather and nuclear power, nuclear energy. He's very interested in it. He monitored the technical aspects of the Chernobyl meltdown and so forth. He watched this, and it was very consistent with what he had learned based on his own research, monitoring these events in real time. Pandora's Promise.
And what was your main takeaway from it? Just top thing.
My main takeaway, and this won't spoil anything because I don't know if Nick got the same thing I got out of it, but what I think I took away from it was that all of the we're all going to die hysteria over nuclear radiation has not materialized.
Correct.
In that the general, you see, if scientists are in consensus that there's no global warming, then that means there's no global warming. Well, the general consensus among scientists is that exposures to certain levels of radiation would cause cancer and birth defects and limbritis and all sorts of things. And through time, based on objective studies that have been done, it has been demonstrated that, and they're not advocating exposure to radiation. What they're saying is that the sky is falling responses that we've had through the years have not materialized as being real.
Yeah, like even in the thing, they showed people that moved right back to where Chernobyl happened, and they've been living there for like 30 years.
Well, but the point was the one that you made earlier, Nick, when you and I were talking, was that they have the Geiger counter when they measure the ambient radiation near one of these the nuclear meltdown site, and then they take that same Geiger counter to the beaches in Brazil.
Oh my God!
And the radiation in nature on the beach in Brazil was 3 times what it was at the nuclear power plant.
And there are people like burying themselves in the sand. It's got all this. It was insane.
And they talk about, and something that I've always thought about, and again, none of this is going to spoil it for you because the bases for which they make these determinations, I think, are where the show is interesting. But they talk about how much radiation the airline pilots are exposed to by virtue of flying commercially at high altitudes daily. And so my question has been, I've asked this question for the last 10 years, and that is is there a dramatic increase in the rate of cancer and leukemia among airline pilots? And I'm not saying there hasn't been that dramatic increase, but I'm saying I haven't seen that there has been this dramatic increase. And what that means is that all the hysteria that has been around nuclear power, all this all going to die, really hasn't materialized. John, you said most recently in Japan they'd be okay with people moving back to that area. I'm not going to go into that because I don't remember exactly what they said, but that they cover that. They go into the Japanese meltdown and actually take a Geiger counter into those locations, even to places that were destroyed still by the tsunami and so forth. But look, if you've got I would suggest, if you're interested in the topic, if you don't have Netflix, I would suggest that you get a 30-day demo trial subscription and make that one of the things that you watch.
It's $10 on Amazon if you want to watch it on there, and it's also $3.99 on Google Play. So if you don't have Netflix and you can rent it for $4 on Google Play. You should definitely watch it. No, it doesn't matter what your stance is.
And one of the things that I think is really good about it is a lot of these lefties actually admit that they were wrong. And you never see that. I mean, it's worth watching just to see somebody do that. They never admit that they're wrong. But here, they I think in a very responsible and dignified fashion, say we were wrong. And bottom line, what was interesting to me about the documentary is what my friend said to me about a year ago, 3 years ago. He said the day will come when the environmental wackos will realize that the greenest energy available is nuclear. And they also, for example, one of the things that they go into and demonstrate is If I were to say to you, Bruce, what is the biggest problem today with nuclear energy? What would your answer to me be?
The possibility of a leakage and the
Yep.
damage that could come from that.
Okay, those are important, and those are somewhat addressed. What else? What is another one that's always touted as, oh, no, we can't do nuclear energy because of insert here? Waste.
The waste, yeah.
Right, yeah.
Watch the event. Watch and see how bad the problem really isn't.
Yep.
It's just they show how it's just amazing, and so I mean, well, John doesn't like me calling names, and I don't blame him. I don't like doing it either. But you know, sometimes you fight fire with fire, and I didn't start it. So the name Right Wing Nut Job comes to mind, but. That being said, I do commend. I was kind of the acid test is whether Nick would get anything out of it because Nick is younger. He hasn't been brainwashed like we all have attempted to be brainwashed over the years over these things, and I wanted to see what his fresh perspective on it would be. Now, having said that, do I blindly accept everything that's in that documentary as being true? No. This is a set of opinions by a different group of people who are really having to step up to the plate to admit that they're wrong, and they're bringing some scientific basis to their opinion. That's, again, something that when you watch CNN or MSNBC or CBS or one of those, I mean, there's no factual basis from it as scientists agree or some nonsense like that. But these guys actually bring the basis for their justification into the discussion, which I think is helpful.
And it sounds like they brought it with no agenda. And I think that's one of the keys. A lot of people defend a position only because it supports an agenda that may or may not necessarily be based in fact.
Well, that's an interesting comment. And I'm going to tell you what I think, Nick, so tell me what you think. I actually think these guys do have an agenda. I think they are agenda driven, but I think they have read the tea leaves. They have been hit upside the head with the truth, as it might be said. And they have actually shifted their agenda to pro-nuclear.
Yeah, well, I mean, I don't want to give any more of it away, but like Mike said, there are people at the beginning, or there are people that said, you know, my whole life I have been afraid of nuclear energy, and they interview them throughout the documentary, and at the end they say, you know what, it's really not that bad. And
yeah, you know, when I say agenda, I mean, what you're talking about, I don't think having the it sounds to me like they have truth as their agenda, whether it's pro or anti. I mean, they're bringing scientific fact to the issue. So, I mean, when I say agenda, like, you know, there's some people who posture a position because it affects or negatively or positively their agenda to bring control into a particular arena.
Yeah, well, Bruce, I hope you get time to watch it. I'd be very much interested in what you think. And John in Florida, I'd be glad for you to watch it. Dr. John, if you get a chance, and bring it up next week if you get a chance to watch it, bring it up on the show and let's see what you think. Because this, and again, we've told you a lot about what's there, but it hasn't spoiled any of it. It's not a whodunit, then we just tell you who shot JR kind of thing. How all this information evolves and how it's reported is really where the show is. But if you can do that, it would be interesting because having said that, I'm not going to take this show and go out and say, oh, okay, everything that has been reported is bunk, and now we can go out and we can start sunbathing in front of the nuclear power plant during a meltdown. There's no question that excess exposure to radiation will kill you. No question about it, and it should be avoided at all costs. But I think it also should be avoided on the beaches of Brazil. It should be avoided any place that you have unnecessary exposure to radiation. It's just not it's not necessary to an extent. Now, you'd say, well, okay, what about the beaches of Brazil? That's a natural occurrence down there. That's not man-made. Well, I don't know the answer to that. I mean, is the instance of leukemia in Brazil dramatically higher than the rest of the world? It may be. I don't know the answer to that. And it's possible that Nick and I are reporting some of the things from the movie inaccurately. All I'm saying is that if you like to be well informed, and a lot of people say, oh, I like to see both sides of the issue, this is another side of the issue. Watch it and make your own determination. To me, it validates a lot of what I had suspected as a technical person over the years. Pandora's promise.
All right. So, Nick, do we have any?
This week wasn't anything great.
Okay.
I mean, I did my show Thursday night. There was nothing great to talk about. But in terms of tech, I don't know if we covered this last week or not, but there was a job listing in New York City for a regional sales manager for Google Fiber. So this is I guess, a sign that perhaps the next place that Google may be going is New York City. And I brought this up to Andrew, as he lives in New York City, and he said that the politics are very bad there when it comes to ISPs, and he said it took Verizon almost 6 years to get into New York City and where they are now. So it'll be interesting to see if Google can start rolling out fiber in New York City.
Wow.
When somebody asked the question and I couldn't answer, when you have these other competitors, is each one of these competitors going to lay their own fiber?
I have no clue. I would assume Google probably would because they can. I don't know if everybody is though.
And what did we learn, that Austin is providing 1 gigabit over UVerse?
I believe so. I don't know if, let's see.
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, Eric Timmer, who watches the show on who watched the show, he's not in chat right now. He's moving to Austin, and I believe he said that AT&T UVerse is, because Google Fiber is coming to Austin. I believe that they're either doing a gigabit or I think it's a gigabit, or it's either 100 megabit symmetrical.
But it is symmetrical.
It is symmetrical, yeah.
And
so,
but what about caps? Because UVerse had a 150 gigabyte, now 250 gigabyte cap on their UVerse service.
yeah, he brought that up as well, and he said he's not sure about caps yet because obviously his house isn't built and he can't sign up for the service yet, but we'll soon find out.
I don't know other places in the U.S., but in our area, CPNL back when, all their high voltage lines that run crisscrossing the state and all the states that they are in apparently are jacketed with dark fiber. They were from the early, 80s, 90s, when fiber started. And I'll bet you that companies these days can probably lease some fiber from them. I remember back then they were saying that the capacity is enormous. So that may be another way that they can do it. RST here said that they were running fiber quietly for years now. But yeah, I mean, if a company goes today and say, we want to move to this city to start pulling fiber, it's not an easy task. It's time consuming. The thing about RST was that they announced that the last mile is going to be wireless. So they're going to bring fiber to certain areas, and then they're probably going to have a tower, and from there it's going to be wireless.
How can you do a gigabit symmetrical wireless?
I have no earthly
Yeah, I
idea.
have no clue how that's going to work.
I mean, technology, how they're going to do they asked Steve Gibson back then how are we going to do a 50 megahertz processor. He said, we can't. We don't have the right materials to do it with. Obviously, we're at gigahertz now. So who knows? These guys that are into it may have newer technology that allows to do this. We'll wait and see. Look, and if it's not a gigahertz, if it's 500 megabits, if it's 100 megabits, hey.
I think I brought this up. It was either you, Amnon, or Mike, about the issue with the issue I see with wireless is people tampering with it. Yeah, what's going to stop me from buying some kind of jammer that's just going to, jam all the signals, or worse, what's going to stop me from tapping into that information and seeing exactly what you're typing?
I don't know. I mean, there's a company in the area now that does everything wirelessly. It's called Clear.
Yeah, but I mean, you start getting the bad guys using it, and I don't know.
Yeah. Think about all the DDoS attacks that these guys can start doing with such high
Yeah, for sure.
speed. Yeah.
Well, yeah, but then again, your DDoS is only effective as the internet you're DDoSing. If I have gigabit and you have gigabit and you're DDoSing me, it's probably not going to do anything.
Yeah.
I would think.
Yeah, one of my servers got DDoSed a couple of days ago.
And?
Well, 24 hours later, everything's back to normal. After we had a problem. Nick and I could not FTP into the site.
Oh,
and they said, well, you need to check your firewall. And I said, no, you need to go do your job and fix your problem and quit bothering me and blaming me. And 6 hours later, they admitted it was their problem and they fixed it.
Yeah, and how long was HostGator down?
I don't know.
Like a day, more than a day.
Isn't that becoming a regular occurrence?
It's happened 5 major times in the last 7 months.
That's a lot.
Yep.
This is the first downtime I've had with this particular hosting.
Yeah, people are starting to get pissed. As they should, because that's ridiculous.
You say something, Steve? Oh, Steve said something.
Oh.
Steve? I mean, he's connected, but he probably went to get a cup of tea.
Cup of tea.
No, I'm here. I just need to reach forward to unmute.
Oh.
John was asking something. I'm not sure what he's asking. Can you do that now with wireless networks? Is he talking about jamming? I mean,
you can jam wireless networks.
You could do that, but it's illegal. And
it's highly illegal.
And if the federal government finds you radiating in that frequency band with an illegal transmitter, they will give you jail time.
What about microwave line of sight? Is it?
Well, that's been around for years and years and years, but it's very expensive.
I know somebody that's doing line of sight.
And I don't think you can do line of sight microwave with one transmitter and 1,000 people all around it receiving.
No,
that's what I had with Sprint back in the day, back in Florida.
What?
I had a little microwave thing on the side of my house. It was line of sight. It was the first high-speed internet that I had.
So that means it was microwaving in all directions? I thought microwave goes directional.
It was. It was line of sight.
Yeah, but line of sight is in, I mean...
You have to see the tower.
Yeah, you have to see the tower, and on the tower there has to be a dish. Otherwise...
Yeah, they installed it and aimed it, and that's what I had. My question is that more secure or more securable than the other kind of wireless you're talking about, this last mile?
Yeah, that microwave I would assume be more secure because it's a link-to-link point. This wireless, I would assume, would just be like a general broadcast, and you would have a box to decode that and transfer it over to Ethernet or whatever.
I'm not so sure it's any more secure because the benefit of the microwave thing, like you're talking about, Bruce, is that it is highly directional. And the fact that the signal is directional versus non-directional, I'm not so sure that is going to weigh into the ability to secure it. Now, the difference would be one possibility would be that let's suppose that if you're comparing broad Wi-Fi like we're talking about versus line of sight, you have to be in the line of sight to be able to jam it. You have to be within the beam to beam. So I guess it's more secure in that it's harder to get within the active area of the signal. So I guess that would be. But as far as if you're in that, let's suppose that as a point of comparison, that I wanted to jam your internet, Bruce, and you're on a microwave link point to point. If I'm standing at your house, it's not any harder to jam that than it would be to jam municipal Wi-Fi from a place that's other than that point. So does that make sense?
I always thought
Yeah.
that if you get in between two, if you get in the beam, that's really bad radiation.
Nah, irrelevant.
Really?
The signal level is so irrelevant. It's irrelevant.
So it's less than a microwave oven?
Oh, not even close.
Okay.
Not even close. Now, having said that, do I want to go camp out in front of a transmitter? Nope. Not in front of a cell phone, not in front of a broadcast transmitter. One of the reasons I got out of the broadcast business is because I didn't want to be around transmitters. Not for radiation purposes, but other purposes. One of the last transmitters I ever worked on had a 15,000 volts on the plates. Had final PA tubes were in series, and at that level, you can stick your hand in a transmitter turned off, and it'll electrocute you because the 15,000 volts will jump across the air.
For people in our area, especially, Comcast and proposed merger partner Time Warner Cable claim they don't compete because their service areas don't overlap, and that a combined company would happily divest itself of a few million customers to keep its pay TV market share below 30%, allowing other companies that don't currently compete with Comcast to keep not competing with Comcast. This narrow, short-sighted view fails to take into account the full breadth of what's involved in this merger. Broadcast TV, cable TV, network technology, in-home technology, access to the internet, and much more. In addition to asking whether or not regulators should permit Comcast to add 10 to 12 million customers, there is a more important question at the core of the deal. Should Comcast be allowed to control both what content you consume and how you get to consume it? That's a good question. And you kind of like, okay, so Duke Energy is now making all the refrigerators and ovens and all the electrical devices that you use at home. And they can control how you use the electricity. And if they want, they can make those devices not very efficient. So you use more electricity. It's not the same, but it's kind of on the same line. And that is how it's going to be.
Mm.
Except, I mean, broadcast over the air is outside of this. What do you think, Mike?
Well, I'm
Why are
sorry
you-
to be so negative all the time, but that's just the way I am. But I would suggest you go read the book Extortion by Peter Schweizer. And you tell me where you think all this is going. It's the people who have the money are going to determine the future of all of these services, and it's going to be organized and engineered to put the money back into their pockets and screw the consumer.
Well, those of you who are waiting for prices to come down, it says a flash storage costs have been dropping rapidly for years. But those gains are about to slow, and a number of issues will keep Flash from closing the cost gap with hard drives for some time. As SSD density increases, reliability and performance decreases, creating a dilemma for manufacturers who must balance density, cost, reliability, and performance. Flash technology and SSDs cannot yet replace hard drives as primary storage for enterprise and HPC applications due to continued high prices for capacity, bandwidth, and power, as well as issues with reliability that can only be addressed by increasing overall costs. At least for the foreseeable future, the cost of flash compared to hard drive storage is not going to change. And we're hearing more and more about people losing their SSDs. The other day, my brother Uzi bought. Oh, Nick, he ended up buying an Alienware for his son.
Oh, jeez.
He found one for $600, i7, some I don't know. Anyway, and it has a 32 gig or 32 gig
32 gig SSD.
SSD in it, that what is being used for as a cache. That's how it comes bundled.
Mhm.
If you restore, that's what it does. And I'm thinking, why would you use an SSD for a cache when it's limited to how many times it can rewrite? That will finish it real
Yeah,
quick.
there's probably a reason.
People were discussing. He wanted to know if I knew how to do it so he could put the system on it instead of using it as a cache. And people said that there is a way to do it.
Yeah, you just install the OS on the one drive and install all
Yeah.
the games on the other. That's what I'm doing on mine. My OS runs on my SD, or not my SD card, my SSD. And then I have a terabyte hard drive.
Apparently, it's not that easy to do with the Dells.
Oh, of course not.
You have to configure something and all that, but it's interesting that people would use an SSD. And think about why would they put such a cache in there if the machine is so fast? Why not put some more memory in it and use it as a cache?
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. SSD prices come down. Screw SSDs, man. Why is RAM so expensive?
Is RAM going up again?
Oh my god, it's like $200 for 16 gigs of RAM. It's expensive.
You might be talking about DDR5 or
No, this is DDR3, $156.
wow.
Stuff is expensive. And I want to build a new computer, and I'm gonna spend more on RAM than I am on my processor.
Interesting.
Bruce, that antenna that you showed the picture of for your internet service,
Correct.
that is not quite the same as a point-to-point link like is generally meant in a commercial sense. If you look at how flat that antenna is, it is not highly directional. It is almost half circle, because if you think about a highly directional antenna is going to be a rather deep dish. That's a very shallow dish. I don't know this, but I'm guessing just based only on the design of that antenna that what this wireless service is they probably had an omnidirectional radiator that is in a single antenna for a certain geographic area for your wireless service, and that antenna really only provided probably about 3 dB of gain. It really was not a point-to-point in the sense that we talk about a commercial service, although it was a somewhat directional link.
Yeah,
That's
I
my
was
guess.
just, I couldn't find an exact picture of what I had with the service and the company that existed at the time, but that was the closest picture that I could find to the shape and the size of the antenna. It was just like that, only it was gray. It was mounted, more diamond shape. Wasn't mounted square. It was kind of cocked over, and it was mounted on a pole on the side of my house, and it had to be aimed to get and the guy had an instrument to measure when he was getting the strongest signal. So, but it was in a neighborhood, like Jeff Bunny's describing, and our length was about what he said, about 40 miles, and I'm not sure where the broadcast point was, but it was extremely reliable, and I liked it. In fact, when it went away, I felt bad. I had to move to something else, but by that time, other things were available. I don't know if it was just if the business model wasn't good for it or whatever, but it sure made a great way to get high speed internet to the neighborhood that I lived in at the time.
What kind
What
of
was your
speeds were you
ping
getting?
time? Yeah, and ping time.
Pardon me? Oh, back in those days, I probably didn't know what ping time was. This is sort of back in the early, mid '90s or something like that when I had this.
Do you know
Well,
were the speeds anything? Do you remember that?
Not exactly. I know it was with Sprint, and let me research a little bit more, see if I can find out what it was. I had just moved from Winter Haven, Florida, to Melbourne, Florida, and bought this house. And of course, as I was looking at internet connectivity, this was the fastest that was available in that particular neighborhood.
You guys know what today is?
It's Easter.
Easter.
Yeah, but also it's 420.
Yes, Mike. Are you aware with what that is?
I am.
What is it?
See, Amnon doesn't even know. 420 is, how would you describe it, Nick? Is that
I'm not saying anything.
You're not saying anything.
Oh, you can go ahead and describe
Well,
it.
I'm trying to find the way to act because I don't know that I know the accurate description of what it means, but 420 means marijuana.
Huh?
People who celebrate 420 go out and blow their brains out smoking marijuana.
Well, 421 also, and 422 also.
Andrew says it's National Smoke Pot Day.
So it's not that it means something. It's just that somebody decided.
Yeah, it's an arbitrary thing.
Oh.
Okay, I'm getting closer. It was a joint effort between MCI, WorldCom,
Talk
and
about
Sprint.
pot. It was a joint. What?
It was a joint effort with MCI, WorldCom, and Sprint. Of course, the MCI name disappeared in January 2006 after the company was bought by Verizon. But I'm trying to see if I can find some pictures and things
And
like
they
that.
did away with the service?
In 2006, I'm sure they did.
I'm sure the equipment was outdated, if nothing else.
Yeah, I mean,
It probably couldn't go over 512K.
And you said that the transmitter was 40 miles away? Bruce?
Yeah.
Wow. That must have been on a real tall tower, right, Mike?
No, not necessarily. If it's line of sight,
But 40 miles, that's all. You're already taking the curvature of the Earth into
no.
Yeah,
Not if you're on a,
there's a link for some stuff on a Wikipedia
yeah, not if you're on a
page.
1,000-foot tower.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
but 1,000 feet isn't that tall.
No, it can be, though, but when you're talking line of sight, because at those frequencies, any obstruction between the 2 points would severely attenuate the signal.
Because I remember when we went to do a tank firing, they were explaining that if you shoot it and it goes 16 miles away, you're already hitting something that you cannot see.
15, yeah, that's correct. You cannot see past 15 miles
Yeah.
of the curvature of the Earth. If you
Right.
But if
go
you're
out,
1,000 feet in the air, it doesn't matter.
right? But
Right.
if, for example, if you, I forget, so you guys in chat would know really what these numbers are, but I used to go to Miami, Florida every year for a vacation when I was growing up. My uncle had a boat. We used to go some of the most wonderful places in the world that you could go to in the world in Miami, Florida in that boat. And the statistic that I hear is that if you go 15 miles out in the ocean because of the curvature of the earth, you will not be able to see the shoreline.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
right.
Bruce. Good to
Take care.
see you. Have a good one.
See you, Bruce. All right, so now let me fix it real quick.
Are all the stores closed today?
Yes.
Not
Everything
here,
is
I don't
closed.
think.
I thought everything is closed on Easter.
You're crazy. In North Carolina, they're not going to close anything.
All right, so I'm looking at this now. This is from the year 2000 using
Wait a sec.
Sprint's thing. And it said that the performance, you get anywhere between 512K and 1.5 megabits down. That's pretty quick.
Yeah. That's up at what year?
Like a little before, let's see, 1999.
Okay.
That's pretty quick. And that this guy was 19 miles from. He did a whole write up on it. He was 19 miles from the transmitter.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah, no, I'll wait till after the show. Never mind.
What happened here? Oh, shoot. I messed up.
Oh, so hey, Mike, remember how we were talking about that shoutcast stuff?
Yes.
I was doing some more testing with it last night. It's cool because you can. So if I'm using an auto DJ, right, that would be streaming 24/7. If I start broadcasting locally from my computer, the stream will automatically the auto DJ will automatically get pushed back, and the live stream will start. And the second I stop broadcasting locally from my computer, it will again the auto DJ will just pick right back up where it left off.
That's awesome.
And you don't have to sign in or do anything. You just start the broadcast. The song title changes to whatever you're doing. You stop broadcasting, and then it just picks right back up. It's really cool.
Now, how do you send the audio to it? Do you have to do it through their web interface?
Like live stream?
Right. You're going to live stream.
I'm using a program called Sam Broadcaster to do it.
Okay, so it has is it an RTMP or
No,
whatever?
it's just it's just an audio encoder.
So it's encoded before it gets to the stream.
Correct. Yeah. But
Oh,
there's a tool called BUTT, BUTT. It's broadcast using this tool. It's open source, and that will do the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
You just send it you give it a microphone input, and you can just broadcast to it.
Well, why don't you give out the link to your site so people who are interested can click on it, realizing that it's in the development stage at this point?
Yeah. So, BUTT was great but BUTT is a good solution. I've just been tooling around with Shoutcast and Icecast recently. I just had a fascination in it. So I've just been trying different stuff.
Gamerlandradio.com. He posted a link in chat. Gamerlandradio.com.
Yeah, just messing around with Shoutcast, seeing what's going on with it, and I did figure out what was going on with the name as well.
Mike, from legal point. So you play music.
Let's not get into this.
No, I mean in general. I want to know. You play music.
Not about you.
You play a piece of music, and you weren't supposed to play it.
Mm-hmm.
You play a piece of music, and you announce that this piece of music is by such and such wrote it and all that. Is that also a violation if you mention? I know it doesn't help much Although in some cases it's on YouTube you can say I gave credit to whatever, but if you mention what this came from and what does it play on, is that also a violation?
You can say you can say anything you want to about it, but it does nothing to ameliorate
Right,
the
I understand.
infringement.
But it doesn't make it worse.
No. It I try to come up with examples. I mean, copyright law is deceptively simple. And what I mean deceptively, it seems simple, and people believe what they want to believe. They don't want to hear what the law is, because what's happening is that a lot of laws are being violated and nothing is happening. So as a result, it's become a wild, wild west out there. Just as, well, take example. I like to use speeding as an example. Well, why are these people getting away with it? Well, how long have you been speeding in your car, and how often have you gotten away with it? Have you been given a ticket every time you've gone 1 mile an hour over the speed limit?
Nope.
Well, no. That's right, because it's impossible to police. And what are called, I guess in many cases, de minimis violations, which meaning minimum are not of a lot of consequence violations, are just not worth the trouble. The question is, where is that line? And that is that if you go to certain popular streaming services now, you will see violations all over the place. Steve was talking with someone earlier in chat about streaming music over the internet. And if you don't pay for licensing, if you're using standard music, what I mean is if you're using royalty-free music or if you're using public domain music, then I'm not talking about that, because in essence you have a license to play that music. But if you are playing music, popular music, like you buy from Amazon as your programming, you're violating someone's copyright. Does that mean that they're going to come after you? No, does not. But when you realize that the penalty is anywhere from $750 to $30,000 per violation, that can sort of get my attention. And there are very few people, I don't know of anyone who's been fined $30,000 per song for violating a copyright, but realizing how serious the RIAA and others have insinuated, seriously, they've insinuated themselves into the government control of these things. It's a losing battle. John says, does profit motive matter? No, it does not matter with regard to infringement. Now, having said that, if there is such thing as a fair use defense, which 99% of the people who argue fair use don't understand it, and they would lose the argument in court, but under a fair use analysis, profit does figure into it, but not for an infringement. I mean, the fact that you're not making a profit. I mean, again, think about it this way. It's a good example. Let's suppose that you've got an Apple laptop computer at your home, and Nick, who loves Apple, breaks into your home and steals that computer. You are now without your computer. You're now without this $4,000 you paid for that computer. The fact that Nick either throws it in a lake or sells it at a pawn shop to make a profit on it is irrelevant. You have been deprived of the ownership of that computer. And it's the same way with intellectual property. If someone infringes your copyright, if they make a profit on it, is irrelevant. They're still stealing your material. And of course, the analysis goes on and on and on and on. But the reality is that the reason copyright infringement is a problem is because when someone else uses your intellectual property, it deprives you of the exclusive use of it. For example, if there is a book that you want, if you go online and download an illegal PDF of the book instead of going to Amazon or Barnes & Noble and buying the book, you get it illegally. Now the author makes nothing for having gone through the trouble of writing the book. Therefore, the theory is that if the author doesn't get paid for writing the book, maybe he or she will continue writing, maybe they won't. Maybe the amount of available material declines over time because there's no profit incentive in doing it. So, John says, if I buy it, I can give it to a friend legally. Yes and no. If you buy a paper book from the Amazon, you absolutely can give it to anyone you want to. You can't make a copy of it and give it to someone, but you can hand them the actual book. That's the first sale doctrine, and that is correct. However, whenever you license certain things, it is not as clear on things like ebooks and so forth, because those are ethereal, ephemeral, and what happens is that they are coming under different licensing terms, and against some common sense, I would suggest that certain restrictions on loaning digital products are being upheld. I think that it should be treated just like a book. If you can loan somebody a book, you should be able to loan them an ebook that you downloaded from Amazon. It's not quite working out that way, but that's still an evolving area of the law, in my opinion.
I thought we were talking about it one time. You said that if you buy a CD, a music CD, you can make a copy and give one to a friend.
You cannot.
What am I thinking of?
What you're repeating is what someone thought the law ought to be and reported it as being true, when in fact it's not.
Okay. Yeah, it doesn't make sense that you can, because
what the law said is, back in whenever it was in the 80s, that the copyright law said that you could make one copy as an archival copy, but you couldn't do anything with it. It was a backup. And really it didn't get a lot of traction, because that doesn't mean anything to anyone. I mean, even if you read, for example, you buy you license software and you look on there and say you can make one archival copy for yourself. That was kind of imposed by the law, and then the vendors decided it really made good sense, because if you spend $200-300 for a program, you want to be able to reinstall it if you lose your hard drive and the disk is scratched or something like that.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
You know what I have started using more recently lately?
Tell us.
Tell us.
Torrents, not in the illegal aspect, but I've been there's a lot of people now that are releasing their content in a .torrent file.
Correct.
And that stuff downloads super quick, man. Like
Well,
I'm
for many
downloading stuff.
reasons.
I'm downloading stuff like 5 megabits a second. I'm not going to get that from a web server.
Right. And
if your favorite podcast, or you're on a site that has free stuff and they have a .torrent for it, you should be using that. Don't
all right,
download
so
from their web
how do you
server.
collect statistics on torrent downloads?
You don't.
That's a problem for podcasters.
Well, you may be able to. I'm not sure. I honestly don't know. I don't know how it works, but like I downloaded this open source remix, or this remix here that they have .torrents for. And
I actually saw that.
This thing downloaded in 1 minute,
Yeah.
20 seconds.
Right. And again, it's unfortunate that torrent has received such a bad reputation, because it has been used for a lot of illegal stuff.
Right.
But torrenting is a very legitimate technical approach to downloading things from the internet, and it's not necessarily illegal. In fact, one of the first perfectly legal uses for torrent that I saw that made the most sense in the world is that, what is this, South by Southwest deal?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, South by
They had artists down there who released music, who were performing music at the event, and they agreed to have those songs made available for free download. I think they were live performances. I'm not sure. But
they
it
probably
was
were.
like a 3, 4, 5 gigabytes worth of music downloadable for free, and the only way they could justify doing it was by a torrent, because with a torrent, bits and pieces are downloaded from multiple computers. It's not just one server providing 5 gigabytes of data every time someone wants to download the content.
Yep. It's cool. I like it.
In fact, I thought it would have grown more in popularity so far than it has. And I don't know why it hasn't. Maybe people don't understand how it works, or I don't know. If you think about a podcast that has 20 regular listeners, being able to, what do they call it, seeding, that it has the content has to exist on multiple computers. Maybe the industry is not big enough that the seeding is viable yet.
Yeah.
Or, I don't know, maybe there are companies that are going to be commercial seeders, and that is you go to a company and say, I want to torrent the podcast, and I want you to put this content on 50 servers, and based on load balancing and so forth, I'll pay you X number of dollars to have the content on 50 servers, knowing that it's going to be torrented based on its internal load balancing algorithm. I don't know. I don't know that much about it, Nick. If you read anything about it, I'd be interested in learning more about why torrenting isn't. You know what? I mean, I know that it's alive and well in the illegal field. I'm just curious why it does not have more legal usage now.
Probably because of the negative connotation with it.
But does that really matter?
No.
For some people, yeah. If I walk downstairs to my mother and I said torrent, she would think illegal, for sure.
And rightfully so. But what I am saying is that if enough companies were using it legal, that stigma could be removed pretty quickly.
Yeah, but the thing is it benefits the companies because you're not paying for the hosting.
Oh, everybody benefits from it. It's faster download. It's nobody's having to pay per se.
Yeah.
For, I mean, one of the negative sides of torrenting is that you have to leave the software up and running and burn up your upload space, but that's a community thing. Mm-hmm. You're supposed to, I don't know what the number is, but you're supposed to at least allow a 1x upload. If you download 5 gigabytes, you're supposed to at least allow uploading of 5 gigabytes from your system so that if everybody does 1-to-1, there'll always be enough out there for everybody.
Now there is such thing as oversaturated torrents.
Which means what?
That means if there's already so many people seeding it, that it's not good to seed it more. There's no reason for 6,000 people to be seeding a torrent.
Steve,
it defeats the purpose.
Steve, you were saying?
I was saying there's already major companies that use the torrent system. Facebook is one, Twitter is another, Steam game is another, and the vast majority of Linux distributions are distributed by torrent purely for the fact of the bandwidth saving.
Where are they using them?
How do you mean, where are they using them? That's
where do you see it in action?
Yeah.
Well, that's the problem. Excuse me, it's not the problem. It's that's the thing with BitTorrent. It's very much a behind-the-scenes thing. It's all done server to server, so you don't actually see it yourself. But it's how they distribute and update an awful lot of their worldwide services in the background, so that when you look at something in China, it's also the same as it is in Germany or is in the USA. It's all kept up to date.
So it's not the end user.
No, it's purely for the fact of making sure everything is updated and the same worldwide. But Twitter uses it, Facebook, a lot of other major companies use it, and the vast majority of stuff that's on BitTorrent, if you want to categorize it as illegal, is Linux. Linux distributions are phenomenal on Linux, and also a lot of game updates are being shipped around the world. Because you look at some games nowadays, I mean, they're gigabytes in size, and they're being shifted around the world by the games companies into server-wise using torrents because it is so much cheaper.
Okay.
I was looking at this site that Nick showed me yesterday where they host a lot of music tracks, and their approach is, if you have to download it from here, fine, but do us a favor and use this BitTorrent link instead if you're going to download a lot of them, to save us from having to pay for all the bandwidth from the server, which I thought, assuming that the content is, and this, we're not going to get too deep into this, but the whether the content, let's just assume that it's all legal. I'm not convinced it is, but assuming it's legal, I thought that was an excellent approach because the site is operated on donations. It's not a big commercial site, and people who would donate certainly could go to a little extra trouble to save them the bandwidth and the disk space. That seems to me to make a lot of sense.
The way it works predominantly is you have one person that starts off seeding the one thing. So the way majority of servers work is you put a program or a file, whatever it might be, up on your website, and then you are the only person that has that's available. So everybody comes to that one spot in order to get that one file. Then when you get that file, then that's it. You've got it. And then the next person jumps into the queue and says, right, okay, it's my turn to get that whole file now, all from that one location. The way BitTorrent works is everybody initially is still getting it from the one server or from the one person that's put the file up, unless it's put up on multiple servers and seeded at the same time, which quite a lot of these release groups do. They'll send it out to 10 people, so they've got 10 people that are seeding it straight away. 10 into, if you take into account something like Game of Thrones, which is downloaded 17 million times in the first few hours, that's a pretty major concern. But when people are downloading or leeching, as they call it, your seeding is the person that's actually sharing the full file or parts of the file, and leeching is the people that are actually downloading those bits of the file. So it's called seeding and leeching. If you can get even 5 people on a file, that then, say for instance, you've got 100 people downloading it, they would normally be set in a queue. The first chunk 5, we have to wait for them, depending on their download speeds, for them to get it. Then the next sort of 3 would jump in, then the next 2, then the next 5 maybe. But with BitTorrent, the way it works is each person that connects into the swarm of people that are also sharing it, both downloading and uploading, everybody is downloading and everybody is uploading whilst you're actually getting it. At the point you get to the point where you've received the full file from hundreds of thousands of people potentially that are sharing those pieces, whether it be piece 1 of a 100-piece file or piece 96 of a 100-piece file, you've got that little chunk from a multitude of different people. Have that available, so you pick, generally speaking, the one that's closest to you to get it the fastest. Once you've got the file in, it's complete, and you've got 100% of it. It'll tell you that the download is complete, and you can then shut it off. But obviously, the more people that are sharing and the more people that leave it running, the better it is for everybody else that's now joining the swarm at a later time. They always say that you should seed back at least the same amount that you've downloaded. So if it's a 100 megabyte file, seed back at least 100 megabyte as well, because that's fair. Not everybody does, unfortunately.
Oh.
But I was actually working on a computer a few months ago. The person was complaining that her internet was a little slow and her computer was slow, and so I was working on it. And then I happened to look down and see a little torrent icon open in the bottom of the screen. And I think she had probably downloaded one illegal movie or something. I mean, she's definitely non-technical. But this torrent client that was installed automatically started with Windows and would automatically start seeding. I looked at it. From what I could tell, she had downloaded probably 200 or 300 megabytes and had uploaded gigabytes.
Good for her. Well done.
No, I don't think so.
Yeah, that's how a lot of these bigger things are seeded like that, is people just don't know, and they just leave it.
If you're on a really good bandwidth up and down, chances are, if you set it up properly, and that's the biggest problem, is it is very technical to set up and to get sorted out. And even now, I mean, I'm looking back 2003 when I got into it. Even now, sort of 11 years later, it still is pretty technical, and you need to have a little bit of a clue on how computers work, sort of sharing, getting through firewalls and things like that. It's a lot easier than it was originally, but it still is a little bit technical that you have to sort of stop and think a little bit.
It will be interesting to see. And we're saying BitTorrent, but you said it correctly, Steve. It's actually torrenting. BitTorrent is one of the clients that's used for torrenting.
BitTorrent is the technology and what it was called originally. So that is the protocol is BitTorrent. Torrenting or file sharing or helping your fellow man as I like to call it, in obtaining the things that they're looking for.
All right.
Did I understand that someone has a birthday tomorrow?
I believe so, yes.
That would be Steve.
That,
Well, we can't
yes.
sing happy birthday to you because of copyright restrictions.
But you could whistle it, though, apparently.
I don't think so.
Oh, okay.
Amnon, stop. You're going to get the show pulled down.
You're going to get us kicked off the internet. Well,
yeah,
happy
those two sisters are going to be really upset if you keep that up.
Well, happy birthday. I hope you have a very good one.
Thank you. It's the sort of thing. Yee-haw! It's I don't really take much notice of it now. Once you sort of reach past 40, it's like, yeah, it's just another day, isn't it?
Well, it is until you miss one.
Yeah, well, you only need to miss one, and then that's the end, then basically, isn't it?
It'll run a good day.
Yeah. Thank you anyway. That your wishes are gratefully received. Thank you.
Well, they are heartfelt.
Awesome.
Somebody wake up Amnon.
No,
Amnon.
I was looking for a happy birthday something, but nah.
You could always say happy birthday Chew, as in CHEW.
Happy birthday, Chew You.
Happy birthday, 3U.
Yeah. Birthday
Got a similar
greetings to
melody.
you.
For you. But no, the music is also. Anyway, happy birthday.
Yeah, the original was "Good Morning to You," wasn't it? They used to sing in
Yeah,
schools.
that's right. Yeah.
Good morning to you.
Yep.
Copyright, eh?
Anything else?
I don't have anything else.
I hope I didn't bore you with the BitTorrent thing, but it is a marvelous technology, and if you haven't looked into it, download uTorrents if you go to bittorrent.com, it's bittorrent.org, I think, actually, and then download the uTorrent client, which is the most popular one and the secure one, and just go and have a look. If you can get to the Pirate Bay, go and have a look. There's loads of legal stuff available.
Yeah, any like Steve said, any Linux distro is available in a .torrent file. Any Linux distro.
And you'll get it faster than you'll get it if you go direct to the Linux org's whatever website. Much faster.
I don't see the client on bittorrent.org.
What is uTorrent is the one.
There's actually a site just for podcasts. It's called bitlove.org.
Bitlove?
Bitlove, yep, .org. And there's a handful of podcasts on here. Some of the Jupiter Broadcasting podcasts are on here. No Agenda's on here.
But do they have a client? I think Mike is looking for a client.
Oh, I've got a client.
BitTorrent or uTorrent is the client.
Yeah.
But like there's a handful of shows on here. So
I've played with it several
Sorry, it's
times.
not bittorrent.org. It is bittorrent.com. I beg your pardon.
Okay.
That's the problem. You've got
Bitlove.org.
org.com.uk, .us, .whatever. Oh, for goodness sake.
like for example, the last episode of No Agenda, it's got 16 seaters. So
Let's see. A lot of this stuff I look at, I really don't understand how to do it. So I clicked on it, and I'm looking at noagendanotes.com, which is the MP3 torrent, 132 megabytes. And it has 16 seaters and 0 leechers.
So if you click on that green button.
Well, I don't have a torrent client on this.
Oh, okay. So
I just have it on an old computer.
If anybody was to click that thing, it would download a file that's a .torrent, and that .torrent opens up your BitTorrent uTorrent client, and then you'll just start seeding, or you'll start leeching it from other people, and then voila, you'll have the file.
And the part that someone might have missed is that the file that you're clicking on is a .torrent file.
Correct. It's not the actual MP3 file.
No, it's just a directory file that tells your client where to go get it. But the trick that you might miss if you're not careful is that the .torrent has to be file associated with the torrent client, so that it will when you click on that file, it opens in the torrent client, which will then know to go out and get the file. And some of these torrent sites, as I recall, and it's been such a long time since I messed with it, but some of them required you to have an account or something. And
Maybe
is that right?
not here. Not any, I've never had to create an account for a site.
It depends which site you're going to. If you go to the Pirate Bay, if you're able to get to it, or use one of the proxies that are certainly available. In Europe, it's not so easy to get to the Pirate Bay, but there's ways and means around by going through a proxy. They've switched over. They don't have torrent files now, .torrent. They have magnet links, which you click on the link, which is a huge, great, long, sort of 30 or 40 characters, numbers and letters, capitals, lowercase, whatever. But that specifically points to that particular torrent. And most new clients, like uTorrent, for instance, you can put the URL in or the address. So just copy the magnet link, and then click Add Torrent from URL, and then it just picks it up from there.
There was a big site for torrenting called Demonoid. Is that right?
That's right. It's just come back up as well, actually.
I didn't know it was gone, but this is what 4 years ago. There was a waiting list or something to get an account there, or you had to know someone to get in, and so I ended up getting a Demonoid account, but I never went in there to download anything. I don't even know if the account's still active, but I mean, from what I could tell, it was all illegal stuff.
Demonoid had a reputation for having an awful lot of stuff that was not available on other torrent sites. They specialized in specialist stuff, really. They had an awful lot of ebooks before ebooks started to become popular. They had a lot of plugins for music making machines and music making programs, VST plugins and things like that. A lot of graphic stuff, and also a lot of stuff that people used to create themselves. It was very much a community orientated website where people would put something up that was requested.
I just didn't trust that stuff enough to get involved in it, because I mean, there's nothing. If I want it, I'll buy it. If I don't remember even what it was I was looking for, but it was something that was not available anywhere else, and I just decided it wasn't worth it. I don't want anybody knocking on my door unless I've invited them.
Not in the profession that you're in, that's for sure. And you do have to be careful in where you go and what you're getting stuff.
But what I'm saying, Steve, is it's not even attractive to me, even if I were not an attorney. The idea of getting involved in that, I mean, it's almost like a third world undercover drug ring kind of stuff. I'm just not interested in all that. If I think of what it was, I will admit to it. But there was something that I was tempted to download because it was not available anywhere else, and I cannot remember what it was. And I was very tempted, but I didn't do it. And which I'm glad I didn't, because now I can't even remember what it was. It must not have been that important, but I just don't want the risk associated with it. I'm 60 years old, and knock on wood, I've never even had a speeding ticket. So I try to play by the book as much as I can, but
that's one of the unfortunate things is it has the reputation of being something that is, linked with child pornography and prostitution and drug running and gun running and all that stuff.
You're talking about Mike?
No. When you're talking
tell
about
everything you know, Steve.
Copyright infringement and file sharing, it's just got the general feel of that kind of environment, and that's purely because of all the hype and load of rubbish that they've spread out. I mean, you look at anything nowadays, if they want to get people involved and want to get people up in the air and really uptight about stuff, all they got to do is say, save the children. Think of the children. Think of the drug runners, and look at all the prostitution and the money laundering going on. Usually, they just lump all those things together, whether they are actually involved or not. Maybe right down the very end of the path, possibly, but not the amount that they say it is. It's a load of bull.
So my Demonoid account is still active.
Yes, they've only just come back. They were away for about 18 months.
And I registered on September 17th, 2010.
He's
Jeez.
sitting on your left shoulder. I see him.
Yeah.
Well, if you looked me up on there, you'd find me as under my old username.
Yeah. Well, I don't know what that is, but anyway, I don't know. I don't want to go there. I'm all for legal stuff like that, and you know what I found out is these things that are not available anywhere, and you got to have it, and going to take a chance of downloading it illegally. If you wait long enough, if there's enough demand, it'll show up, and it's probably on YouTube if you search hard enough.
It's that's the unfortunate thing is because people are so wary, they don't go and have a look for the stuff that is legitimate, and surprising what they are missing. But yeah, you do have to be very careful what you're looking at and what you do download. But there's an awful lot of stuff that is absolutely 100% legal and very interesting that people are missing.
There was an ebook that I was searching on a title on a book, and I don't, some time ago, I don't remember what it was, but I already had the book. I didn't have the ebook, and I was curious whether it was available in ebook. And when I did a search on it, it actually showed a download from some site, so it looked like some rapid share or something like that, for the book. Download the ebook here, and I look, I know what you're going to say as soon as I say this, but I'm curious about what's beneath the surface. And if you look at that file, it's an exe file.
Ding, 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 ding.
Well, here's the point. And in this file, I was curious. I said, right, like I'm going to download it and open an exe file like that. But here's my question. I went back and tried to research it, trying to learn about it. And it looks like this file had been up since for 6-8 months or something like that. So assuming that this is a virus file, or it's actually a file that downloads a virus and infects your computer or something like that, how is it that these things stay up for so long? Or if you go to this, I can't remember what the site was, but what I'm saying is that I guess what I'm saying is that there probably are some legitimate sites that you may have to download an executable to be able to get the content, because I'm assuming that's the case, but I cannot imagine anyone downloading and running an executable file for something like that. I mean, I cannot imagine it.
Well, anyone that's thinking about doing BitTorrent, I used to run a website called filesoup.com and filesoup.co.uk that actually started up before the Pirate Bay. The Pirate Bay, and what was the other one called? I can't think now. It's just recently shut. ISO Hunt. We were there way before them. So I do know a lot about BitTorrent, maybe not quite so much from the last few years because I've been out of it, I suppose. But the most important thing you can do when you're looking for stuff on BitTorrent is go to a site that is predominant, something like Demonoid, as Mike has mentioned, or the Pirate Bay. And the most important thing to take away from what I'm saying here in this sentence is always look at the comments. See how many seeders it's got. If there's loads of seeders, like over 20, look at the comments, look how old the comments are, and just scan down through them. They'll soon tell you if there's a virus. That's where you rely on the community. Demonoid has got an excellent community. The Pirate Bay has got an excellent community that actually give feedback and say this file is a virus, and it gets taken off. So make sure you read past the bottom of the screen and read down in through the comments. And if there's a virus in that, it'll soon get reported as such, and it'll get removed.
I'm trying to find one. I may have just found one. Now let's see. And I know we're over time, but I'm curious about this. I've always wondered, because I don't understand how somebody could do this, and some of the surrounding issues look legitimate. All right, here's one. Let's see if this is it. I did the book I was talking about a while ago. I just did a search for Extortion by Peter Schweitzer, and I'm not sure how to read all this, but it said ebooks.pdf.e-bookspdf.org, free download ebooks PDF. Well, for starters, it's illegal. The author's not giving this book away. This is totally illegal to download this. You could argue that if you own the book, that you could get but I wouldn't go there, and I don't think that's been court tested, and I don't want to be the court test on it.
So somebody took the time to scan that whole book?
I don't know. I don't know the answer to this. This is part of my question. I don't think the book has ever been downloaded to schedule. Now, maybe this is not it, because this says a conversation with Peter Schweitzer. Maybe that's what it is. But I saw one of these. Where the heck is it?
Yeah.
I don't remember.
In
But
answer to what
anyway,
you said, Amnon, yes, there are people that will scan pages of books, even hundreds of pages, just for the fact that they love to share and they want to put it up for their community of friends.
well, that plus they hate capitalism.
And also they want a bit of recognition to think, well, I've put myself out for somebody, maybe somebody will put some themselves out because they have a book I want.
I'm still looking, guys.
Interesting.
And that's what gets me so much about it, is the fact that the guy that spent those hours, maybe several nights in the week, to scan that in to create the PDF and then put it up to share, isn't charging for it, hasn't made any money out of it, and if anything, it's probably cost him time, energy, and expense because of the electric and everything else. And he's not charging anybody, and yet he's going to get done for copyright infringement.
All right, here's something. Maybe I found something here. I'm not sure what I'm looking at, so maybe you guys can tell me, which is why I'm asking. Here is a site called kickassunblock.info, and I did a search on this book. It's Extortion, How Politicians Extract Your Money, Buy Votes, and Line Their Own Pockets by Peter Schweitzer, .epub. It is a 4.34 megabyte exe file. It has been up there for 5 months. There are 42 seeds and 2 leeches.
Okay.
It's
What about
posted
comments?
by 420 Weed Man.
Yeah, sounds about right.
Now, if
Are
I
there
click
any
on this,
comments?
I don't think I'm downloading anything here. So I click on it, and it says the page at appomet.com says, there is a new Kodak Pack version. Install the version now for better performance. I don't think so.
No.
Please install the
this
new
is how they
Kodak.
fund running the sites, is that they've got to have loads of adverts and things like that. It's like these streaming sites nowadays. As soon as you click on something, or one of these file hosting sites, you've got to jump through about 4 different advert pop-ups. But that's how they pay for the bandwidth that they're using. But if it's an exe file, I would say probably not. But then if it's been there 5 months and it's got 20 people seeding it, look down at the comments and see what people are saying about it. If they're saying, yeah, this file is great, and they're registered members, and there's loads of people saying, this is brilliant, just what I was looking for, thank you, then invariably it's probably going to be okay. Certainly over a period of 5 months. If it's one that's only been up there for 4 days, and as people are saying, not sure about this one, oh, I got a virus, then don't touch it with a barge pole.
All right, here's some, and again, we don't have to get all into this, but I'm curious because you piqued my curiosity now. But so I have no idea if this kickassunblock.info is a legitimate site,
It's
Kick
probably a
ass
legitimate Tor site, but nothing on there is legal.
Right, I understand
it's
that.
the second
and
biggest site in
I
Europe.
agree. But here's my question. In fact, here's something on there I'm scanning down. Here's something that's been on there for 2 years. So apparently this site's been around for a while. But now here's my question. And this, Nick and Steve, you two would be the ones to answer this question. In looking at this file, I don't know what all of these icons mean over here, but you know what? The file just went away, so I lost it.
Well, I don't think we should do this on air. It's probably not
Well,
the best thing.
because it doesn't matter. We're not doing anything illegal. I'm just trying to understand what these guys are up to.
They're not up to
but-
anything.
Well, but
Look
here's
for
my
something that
question.
says magnet link.
Well,
rather
hang on a
than having
second.
to
So I
download a
want to go
torrent
across
file.
the link here and ask a question. The first icon, it says verified torrent.
Okay.
What does that mean?
That means it's most likely not a virus.
Verified
means
by
that-
whom?
A member
By the
of
community.
staff or the community has verified it because loads of people have downloaded it without any problems.
Yes.
All right. Then the next is a down arrow, which does not have any pop-up associated with it.
That's
The
probably
third
the
one,
down.
Steve, is magnet. What is the magnet?
the magnet is that big long length of different characters, in numeric and upper lowercase. That basically is, it's like, have you heard of an SHA hash?
Yes.
Or a hash file? It's basically that it identifies that specific file or that specific thing that you're looking at as being unique. Everyone is a unique number. So it pinpoints that specific file.
And
so
is
if you
the
happen to
idea
download
here,
the torrent,
is it supposed to give you more confidence in downloading that particular file?
No, not at all. It's just a different method of doing it. Instead of them, if you're hosting torrent files, then they've made it so that the law looks upon it as being illegal to host a torrent file, which it isn't, but because it's just a hash file, it's just a text file basically. But they've made out and manipulated the laws in such a way to say that hosting torrent files is illegal. Hosting a magnet link with just a string of characters isn't illegal yet, but I dare say they'll manipulate the laws to make it illegal eventually.
And then the last one is a link that says download this file.
That probably
That
would
might
be the
be
torrent.
that
I
might
would
be
have
an
thought.
ad.
That might be what?
It could possibly be an ad as well. And
I would
like they're-
I would go in and have a look myself, Mike, but CAT, as it's known, Kick-Ass Torrents, is censored in the UK, so I can't get to it. There is a proxy, but I can't remember what the proxy is,
Well,
and by the time I've gone and found it, the show will be over.
Yeah, there's no harm in doing what I'm doing here, just looking at these menus. But
no.
I just, the whole thing is just so smarmy and so scummy. I understand why it hasn't caught up. And I mean, it's got porn advertisements for the banner header and the side and all that. I mean, it's just pure garbage.
Yeah.
So
It's,
get
I
out
would
of
argue
there.
that most of this may be illegal. I haven't done a search here for Linux. If they're also having a directory to the Linux distros and all that, then it's not all illegal. I don't know what they do.
Mike,
but
put your car in reverse and get out of the neighborhood. That's all.
don't hang around in there, Mike. If you're looking for legitimate things, then as you say, you go and legitimately buy it. But if you're a little bit on the risky, or you just want to test something before you buy it, which predominantly is an awful lot of what happens with BitTorrent and torrenting, is that people just want to hear what that artist sounds like, or I wonder if I like more than one track on that new album that's just come out. They'll download it in a crappy, horrible 128K, have a listen, think, yeah, I like that. That's worth paying and buying the full album for.
I don't know.
or like my uncle says, he's archiving for later purposes.
Right. Well,
When the world comes to an end, he will have files.
The
They are
biggest
like
thing
that.
wrong with BitTorrenting is that they can see your IP address unless you use a virtual private network. And from that, they can then potentially get at you.
Yeah.
And there was
Well,
one
good
other
at me.
thing that was wrong with it. Darn it. Well, IP address was one. Oh, the uncertainty, the not knowing is another, which can be a big problem, unless you're with a community that you can trust and what have you, blah, blah, blah. But it's the same as anything else in life. If you don't give it a try, you're not going to know, are you?
Well, I'll
Don't-
not know
don't
then.
listen
I'm
to all
going to
the-
ask you guys.
Don't listen to all the hype and what you read on the net about it, because obviously they're doing it from their perspective and very one-sided, aren't they? The entertainment industries.
I mean, this I just noticed up at the top. It says your browser does not support fast torrents downloads. Install the plugin. Right.
Yeah, don't click on any of the adverts or anything that pops up like that. Just
Right.
if you're going to do it, just go grab the torrent or grab the magnet link, put it into your torrent client, and away you go. They have
You
to
know what?
pay for their server hosting somehow.
Yeah, a better thing to do too is if you're going to go to a torrent site, make sure you're running AdBlock Plus, so that you don't have a chance of clicking on any of those fake download links. It's another good solution.
I'm not going there. I mean,
But
to me.
I know what the other thing was. I
that-
just remembered.
Steve, just a second. What Nick said is very important for anybody to do.
Yeah, I'm not.
If you get into a community site like Demonoid, for instance, and I would recommend Demonoid because they are renowned for being a brilliant community. So, and you can sign up. They used to have free sign up Fridays, so you could sign up for without having to wait for an invite and stuff
Yeah.
on a Friday. The community is what drives that site, and it's a very good community, and they all look out for each other. So there's very few and far between sites like that around.
In
But
fact,
definitely
you just
look at
finish. I'm sorry.
I was going to definitely look at the comments underneath the torrent itself. Don't
Yeah.
just jump in head first. But what I was going to say is the downsides to torrenting is your IP address is known to everybody. Anyone can look at who is downloading and uploading, and they'll see your IP address, and they can get to you via that. And also, the main thing that makes it wrong is that while you're downloading, it's not you can't just think, oh, I'm just downloading it. I'm not going to be sharing it with anybody else. I'm just going to download it, and then as soon as I've got it, I'll switch it off, and that's it done. And I'm only going to watch it myself. Wrong. While you're downloading it, you're also uploading it to other
Right.
people that are also downloading it. And that is the big problem, because they'll get you for distribution.
Sure.
Even though
And
you
here's
don't know
the
you're
question
doing
that
it,
I had
you
that I
are.
was going to ask a while ago. And I know this sounds silly, but I'm asking the question anyway. I mean, if I were going to download this, and as I look at it, I mean, since we've been having this discussion about being on kissasunblock.info, the number of seeders and the number of leechers, neither one has changed. It's almost like these are put up there as a scam to let you believe that it's active. But this, I mean, if it's 4 megabyte file downloaded by torrent, if that's a leecher, then that's done in probably 10 seconds, right?
Very little time, yeah.
But yet, the whole time we've been talking about it, the number of leechers has not changed.
Do they have a comment section on it?
Well, that's part of the interesting part, because whatever the second file is below the one that I searched for, it has an additional icon that has a bubble with a 1 beside it, indicating that there is 1 comment. So there are comments, and 2 down it has 3 comments, 2 down it has 2 comments, 3 down it has 3 comments. So there are comments here, but the file that I searched on as a test has no comments. But here's my question in that regard. I am assuming that these sites, these torrent sites, want to maintain whatever credibility they have among their users. And it would seem to me, and maybe I'm naive, but it would seem to me that the operators of these sites would want to pull down any links to files that are nothing but viruses.
Absolutely, and they do that through the actions of the community members that they rely on to keep their site, if not free of, but with very little torrents that are problematic.
Unless the whole site exists for the one purpose of disseminating viruses.
No question. Yeah. And that's why I was saying that plays into my comment a moment ago, that if you look at it and say, well, it's been up for 5 months, they would have taken it down if it were a virus. But the fact is, you don't know if that's accurate. Right. I mean, I've never heard of this site before. They may be credible. They may have been put up yesterday.
Well, the Kickass is definitely a name of a reputable torrent site, and they were called Kickass Torrents, or KAT for short. I think they were KAT.ch or something like that. But
yeah, I believe that's what it was.
Look on Philippines. Look on Google or one of the search engines for Kickass Torrents, and they'll point you to that. There'll be an awful lot of ones that are trying to pretend to be Kickass.
That's what this is.
It's
kickassunblock.info.
No. Then that's just a site that's out to bitch as many users as they can and get as much revenue from the ads.
They're capitalizing on that name.
Sure.
As they should be.
Oh, yeah. Who cares? I mean, to finish this up, I'm just stunned that people would download and open an executable file from one of these smarmy sites. I mean,
that's what they're relying on, unfortunately.
Get a Mac.
All right, we're way over our time now.
Oh my!
We're having fun.
Do we have to pay extra?
Yeah.
Steve, one other final thing.
Yeah.
Based on when I logged into this Demonoid account, it says in the upper right-hand corner that registrations are open.
Yeah, they when they became very, very popular about 8 years ago, they closed off the registrations because they just couldn't cope. Because you imagine the amount of people that are connecting it per minute. And then they had an invite system which didn't really work very well, and they switched it across to if you got in on a Friday, they had an open day on a Friday, and I think it was not open day, but sorry, like an open 4 hours on a Friday. If you were lucky enough to catch it at the right time, you could sign up for an account.
Yeah. Well, anybody can have mine who wants it. All right.
I think it was Kickass or cat.ph, actually, Papa Hotel.
Yeah, that's in the Philippines, I believe. And
Yeah.
Demonoid is now .ph.
Nick is tired. No, he's thinking about going out, and he probably doesn't want to. He goes,
What?
how can I get away from going out? Nothing, Nick. Wake
There you
up.
go, Mike. Here's
Once again, Steve, happy birthday on my friend.
Thank you very much. That's good of you. There's a link there that I found that I remember as being the Kick-Ass site, the way it looked and what have you. So that's definitely what it should look like. Okay, won't keep it anybody any longer. Thank you for your best wishes, everybody, and I hope everyone has a wonderful week.
You as well.
Yep. Any last?
RadarGaming.net.
RadarGaming.net every Thursday night from 7 till 8. I mean, if you want to hear all the gaming news and tech news, tune into RadarGaming.net/live. That's Nick's site, and him and Jake are doing a great job
Thank you, Amnon.
running this show. Seriously.
RadarGaming.net.
RadarGaming.net.
Gator Raming, as some like to refer to it as.
Oh, I say lovely.
All right.
Bye, y'all.
Bye-bye for now.
Everybody have a happy Easter. Happy Passover. And we'll talk next week. I got pushed into this. Good morning, Kathy, Hannah, Nabil, Mac, Norm, Katie, and Dana. Thank you, everybody, for tuning to Computers 2K Now. We hope you enjoyed and maybe learned something from our time together. Remember to practice safe computing, back up your hard drive, and update your virus scanner. We will be back here next Sunday at 9, but you can always reach us at computers2know.com. While you're at it, like us on Facebook, subscribe to our YouTube channel. Tomorrow morning at 11, it's the Health In Show. At 1 o'clock, it is Breaking Free. And at 7 o'clock in the evening, it's the Tanya Love Show. See you, everybody.
You are tuned to the Nissan Communications Network. Our weekly lineup of call-in programs includes Computers 2K Now with Amnon Nissan, Health In with Debbie Bruck, Breaking Free with Marilyn Shannon, Lessons of Vietnam with NCVVI members, The Tanya Love Show, Reawaken Your Brilliance with Julie Seibert, and if you tuned in too late, you can always watch each program in its entirety or download an MP3 audio file of it at www.nissancommunications.com. Sponsored by Atomus.com, makers of quality video recorders and converters for professionals. ThatVidBlasterGuy.com, CarolinaApparel.com, and DeltaForce.net.